Good evening, and another weekend is in the bag. It's Monday night, October the 9th, and this is the Stunthangar video hangouts. So, welcome, and as usual, you can watch us on YouTube or join us live, and either way is great. If you join us on YouTube, you can use the chat box to communicate with us, and I'll try to transfer it over into our conversation with the live crowd on this screen, and I posted the link if you want to join us live, and it's at the top of the chat box. If you're subscribed to the Stunthangar YouTube channel, then it's also in your notifications, assuming you've got your notifications set so that you get a message whenever we go live. Just click the little bell on your YouTube channel and it'll have the link too, as well as always in the live streaming at the bench thread on the Stunthangar control line forums. And welcome. Actually, this was a pretty good weekend for me. I managed to get out in the shop a couple of times and got out to the field, my new club at Conga Reef Flyers, and did a little testing and tuning and troubleshooting. And see the crowds piling in. We already got Jamie and Ken. How you guys doing tonight?
What's up, man?
Not much. I'm just sitting here jabbering in front of the microphone, waiting for somebody to come visit me. It didn't take long tonight, so welcome.
No, I was already on YouTube whenever my notification went off.
I wonder if when I post the link in the chat box over there, if you click that, if you can see me fooling around before I actually go live, can you, or am I already as poised as I get and going through my introductory routine? Is that the first thing y'all can see, or can you see me posting links and doing all that junk when I'm getting ready to go?
I'm on whenever I get the notification. So
yeah.
By the time I get in, bring it up to see the chat box, it's already there.
Okay. I was just wondering, because I know when I turn it off and stop the broadcast at the end, y'all can hang out and still talk, and I wasn't sure if you could see me preparing to start or not. Just curious. And Jim Ballard's on YouTube with us. Good evening, Jim. Thanks for joining us. And we got Jamie and Ken here with us. What'd y'all do this weekend? Did you get out and do any flying or shop work or anything?
None. No flying, and I was too lazy to do any kind at all or anything.
Wildcat's looking pretty good there.
On my couch.
That's a wildcat, right? Jamie, what you're working on?
Huh?
That's a wildcat you're working on, right?
That firecat, yeah.
Firecat. I get those mixed up all the time. Yeah. Yeah, wildcat's a warbird with a canopy. Yeah. Yeah, we got a firecat mania going on in our club. A couple of the members have built a bunch of them of different varying sizes, and I've never actually even flown one, but they look like pretty good little planes. What size is that one?
A bit aggravating.
Is that a junior size that you got, or is that a 35 size?
That's a Indian 19 on it.
Okay, it's like a junior size. What about you, Mr.
I'm kind of PO'd about it because my dumb self, I drilled the mounts crooked.
Yeah,
and so that's a little bit
like me. How'd you manage that?
Huh?
How'd you manage to get them crooked?
I laid the engine on there and marked it, but I guess never actually paid attention to which way the engine was pointing. I mean, it's only off by like a degree or two, but I know that would, I know that would affect the flight.
Is it down, pointing down, or up, or what? It's okay if it points a degree or so down. I don't know about 2, but 1 degree down sometimes can be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty noticeable. But and I kind of blame myself. You give you like almost too much room for a 19 and a 25, no matter what engine you stick right. Like the gap is too big in between the.
I've got more gap on my Cardinal than I'm used to, even for the LA46. I've got 1/8 of an inch, and I was trying to decide whether to shim it or not. And of course, that's a total 1/8 of an inch, so a 1/16 on both sides, but I didn't. I think it's better not to have the beams actually touching the corner of the crankcase, so I just left the gap there, and I'll align it. It's out in the shop with the epoxy hardening right now on the beams. I did that before supper tonight.
And I mean, I got it to where the prop is in front of the, about 1/4 to 3/8, you know. I can move the engine further back if I want. But like I said, wanting to use this engine, they don't give you you don't have a whole lot of space. I can clear the tank. You know, I can notch the landing gear if I have to fit the tank.
Yeah.
But like I said, I can move the engine back and re-drill. But like I said, it's on the line though. It's so close to the drilling into the empty space right here, you know.
Yeah, I don't like that. Sometimes it gets closer than I like to the empty space too. And especially if you're going to put threaded inserts in, because you got to drill an even bigger hole for them. But if you're going through with a 1/8 bit and blind nuts, then it's probably plenty of room. Hey, yeah. Michael,
I got blind nuts in it. One of them that's halfway on, halfway off, you know.
Yeah, I hadn't decided whether to use blind nuts or go with threaded inserts. Kind of leaning towards the inserts, because they get, I feel like they're stronger. You get a lot more threads into it than you do, I think, than you do with blind nuts, and they're stronger too. You're not likely to ruin the threads if you over tighten like I so often do. And so I've got the threaded inserts. I think I'll use them. And just
tell y'all Friday I might be getting a Cardinal. Already built, a profile Cardinal.
Oh. A kit built Cardinal?
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. Yeah, I believe.
Oh, great. How'd you come across that?
Said he would bring it for me the next time that we met up, because he has, I think, an ST51 on it. And
yeah. It must be a heavier one. I think my Cardinal weighed 52, 53 ounces, somewhere around there. And I flew it with an LA46. That's not much difference than a 51, I guess.
You know what would be the exact smart thing to do with this right here is to get the little aluminum pads and mount them, you know, in the front, I don't know, in the doublers, and then, you know, to where I could take it off and put on a different engine and I don't have to worry about.
You mean worrying about where the holes are?
Yeah, you know, pretty much
like the bar mount I put on my P40. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
I kind of like that. They're a little bulky, and you got to be careful you don't interfere with the valve needle. But other than that, I think they're a pretty good idea. And that's also what I use brass inserts underneath for them into the. Let's see, what did I do? Yeah, that's right. That's what holds the big bolts down is brass inserts, but way out to the front and rear of the engine, so you can slide the engine back and forth some for balancing and aligning with the nose of the plane.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a thought that crossed my mind.
That's a pretty good idea. Just get strong bar to mount across it. So some say that bar that Brodak sells flexes a little too much. Even if you can't see it flex, it'll bend a little. So I'd consult on what grade of aluminum to get for that. I know everybody uses what T6061T, and I think that's a general purpose metal, but it might not be hard enough to not bow when you clamp it over the engine. So you might look into that. And a thick one, like 3/8. We got Gerald Wimmer joining us. Hey, Gerald, how you doing tonight?
How are we doing? Oh, good, thanks. Yeah. Yourself?
Pretty good. I had a good weekend. I actually got out into the shop a couple of times and out to the field with some planes a couple of times. Did a little testing and tuning and trimming and pancaking, and got to shoot the shit with my flying buddies out there. So that made it worth it. We got the good out of the day yesterday. It was kind of windy, but I wanted to troubleshoot my twister's fuel leak and also finish trimming the P40. But I was so off balance after, you know, being crippled for a month that I couldn't hang on to the plane. It was walking me off the circle when I'd pull out in the wind, and I ended up pancaking it on the bottom of a square. And so I just called it quits. I put up that one half a flight and just sat in the chair and talked about it all day. But, it didn't hurt anything, just broke the prop, that's all. Broke the prop and bent the gear, everything's back to normal.
You didn't get to try your little ringmaster. You had a little mini ringmaster, I think, that you were having to try out as well.
I forgot to put it in the dadgum car. It was all ready to go, and I drove out of here without it. It was still hanging in the shop when I got home. Couldn't believe it. And I told Wayne, my flying buddy, to bring a ringmaster, but he'd done enough flying up at the E-Week at Triple Tree, the site where Joe Knoll is held. They have a big electric fly-in every year, and so he'd been up there with his control lines and sailplanes, and he'd had enough control lining for a while, so he didn't bring anything, not even the ringmaster. So I was negligent. I was derelict in my ringmaster flyathon duties, and I'm disappointed because I was also derelict in my Cox Engine Forums PT19 Fly 'em If You Got 'em marathon, which is a super miniature version of the ringmaster flyathon, but we have fun with it over at the Cox Engine Forum. But I didn't even get that done. That was back when I was, you know, limping around so much I couldn't do anything in the shop, so I just let it slide. So I'm bad this year. Got to get back on my game, start having some fun. But
you can't do everything.
What'd you say?
You can't do everything, can't compete in everything, and if health problems come up, you just have to work around it, don't you?
I know. Sometimes it's the parts where you can't do anything is the parts that get on my nerves. But I am I'm taking a dose of prednisone right now. My doctor told me to start taking before Huntersville, and I'm hoping I'll be pain-free at least enough to have my balance and fly. And it'll be a lot easier to fly at Huntersville on the pavement than it is in the knotty grass out there at Congaree. So I think that'll be a benefit to me. And yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. Whatever happens, I'll go and have fun. But I want to fly it, and the main reason is this will be my first advanced entry, and I want to make it official. You know, one of my goals was to fly and do this long enough to actually belong in the advanced class, and here's my chance. So I'll put up a flight. If it's a good flight or a bad flight, it makes no difference as long as I just seal the deal and I can say I flew advanced precision aerobatics, and I'm ready for it. It's just you know, I gotta get in shape, get a little tuned up before I get there. So
there we go.
Oh, you like what you see now?
Sorry? Jamie, left one, turn the engine down to where it's square, where another hole lines up perfect. So I put 2 bolts in there. Now I just need to get a little bit, probably 1/8 or so. Pull out the blind nuts on the bottom and then just zap them right through.
You're not a big condoner of hogging out the holes in the engine tabs.
Nope.
Yeah, that's what I do. I got I got about half of mine with extra large holes in the tabs.
Now, granted, if I do that, I could fit the, I could fit it fine, but I mean, the way I half of one hole and a partial, almost the entire thing of another. That one just needs to be wallowed out a little bit. So
That
I'm gonna
sounds good. Yeah.
put 6-inch drill bits and right there in the middle.
Yeah, if you do wallow out one of the holes in the beam, I think harden it good with some super thin CA to help prevent splitting if you do a nose in crash. And yeah, of course, I always put Minwax in the engine holes too to keep fuel from creeping into them. That's what I do with all the holes, like landing gear and the elevator horns and all. I take a toothpick and put Minwax spar urethane down in them, and that way no fuel can seep in. That stuff's bulletproof to any of the solvents we use. It doesn't even get phased by acetone, and glow fuel doesn't seep in either. Anywhere I think there might be an oil leak into the wood, I always make sure it's got a dot of urethane on it.
Yeah, it's one of the things when you're doing repairs, you've got to trace over all those cracks and fill them up so the water doesn't, fuel doesn't get in there. And
yep.
Yeah,
I'm getting seriously close to needing to come up with a paint scheme for the Cardinal. I did some work on it tonight and yesterday, and so I'll have to wait until our full complement of visitors is here tonight and show you all the pictures of my progress so far. I'll wait until Terry and Wally get here at least, and maybe Charles. But we had good weather. It's been muggy and unusually warm for the winter. It's been 80 degrees at 6 o'clock in the morning, and only getting into the high 80s in the afternoons, but real muggy, so that you sweat like it's 95, but it's not really that hot. But I went out yesterday and I got soaking sweaty. So
I could fly all day. I had like 3-mile-an-hour winds, and it was just sunny, but it was like 90 degrees and shit. And it was just like, too hot. I just was
when it gets so hot, I start getting a little punch drunk. I can't even walk straight and figure out what I'm supposed to be doing next. And so, yeah, that heat messes with my head when it gets really hot for a long time, and I start sweating hard. But
I mean,
I've told you about my alcohol and ice water trick. That'll bring you back to reality pretty quick if you pour some menthol alcohol in your cooler ice and soak a rag with it, squeeze that over the back of your neck.
Florida
You'll
water.
yelp out like a puppy, but it'll bring your core temperature right back down in an instant.
Oh yeah, that's we call that Florida water.
Oh really? All right.
Yeah.
I thought that was Gatorade.
Well, we could do it some of your heat.
Put some alcohol in Gatorade, you'd have real Florida water. What you doing, Mike?
Nothing too much. I finally getting ready to get back to work on these things. Fourth or fifth
would those be?
Time in a row making ribs. Hopefully these are decent enough I can even think about building it.
I watched you on here one night. It was back before I was hosting the show, but you were trying to use a brass tube to put holes in ribs and kept breaking them one right after the other. But if I recall, you were not twisting them through. You were trying to hammer them through.
I was trying to twist. I was trying to hammer, and nothing worked.
Hammering doesn't work. No, you sharpen the inside of the tube, not the outside of the tube.
Yeah, I did, and I don't know what the deal was, but the wood was so light and soft it'd mash even when you're trying to turn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of that sterling wood.
Yeah, I think the hammer was probably a bad idea too.
Yeah. That was called frustration.
Yeah, I got a kick out of it though. Every now and then you'd say, "God damn it, I broke another one." I think it was just you and Sparky that night too.
Probably.
That was back late last winter, I think.
Yeah.
What was that plane you were working on at the time? Do you remember?
I think it's one of the two I'm still working on. I'm guessing those ribs were probably the third set try at the stupid Spitfire. And I went and bought some stiffer wood and got the ribs cut out, and it looks like they're going to look like ribs are supposed to this time.
Oh, good.
So I hopefully
bore them out on a drill press. I just stack them 5 deep and put a piece of plywood underneath so it doesn't splinter when I come out of the bottom rib, and just bore through them like that. That seems to work for me.
Yeah, I don't have a drill press, or I would probably do that.
Yeah, man, a drill press is a nice thing to have. I don't know if I could live without that, or my tabletop belt sander.
Yeah,
the little 1-inch. I think
I don't have it.
Only thing about the belt sander is I can't find anything lighter than 120 grit for it, but it works out okay because I sand metal and all kinds of stuff with it, and it gradually wears down to where it's the right grade. So, but when you first put a brand new belt on, it's way too aggressive for balsa. If you're not careful, you'll ruin it.
Yeah, you've got to be real careful. I normally sand it proud about a 1/16, and then I'll hand sand the rest when I'm using the belt sander, just so that I don't take out big chunks and have to rework things. It can be lethal on the leading edge.
I was using my scroll saw tonight, and the wood, I was having a problem with the wood chattering underneath it, and I realized I had the teeth pointed up. That's the wrong direction for a scroll saw, isn't it? I should have the teeth pointing down. Yeah, okay. That was what my problem was. I took it out and turned it around. So, Rusty, paint your mark. Say that again.
No Pepto Cardinal.
Thanks for the tip. I'll keep that in duly noted. Thanks, Ken. Ron Hess. Ron Hess says die cut holes, and he's joined us. So we got Joseph Lungo. Please sub to me to get to 200 subs. What the hell does that mean? I think that's an off-topic poster. Yeah. Joseph, are you still out there with us? Tell us what you're talking about. Joseph Lungo. Don't know you, but you're welcome if you want to talk about modeling airplanes and stuff. So he's over on the YouTube side. So we'll find out what his mission is. I better open my control panel. And I got some pictures to show y'all once we get our full complement in here, because I have been doing some work on the Cardinal yesterday, and today I got out to the shop and did some work and had a good time. Nice to get back out there again. I was worried about working on that concrete floor, but I got some pretty good cushions to stand on now, so that'll probably help to keep me from getting achy from working out there.
That's good.
Wayne's got some of these things that they discarded from his wife's kindergarten class, and they fit together like puzzles. They're just spongy mats, different colored spongy mats, but fit together like puzzle pieces, and he's got them surrounding every one of his work tables. Of course, in his shop, all of his work tables are on wheels, so if he goes out with the saw or sander or something, he pushes it out on the shop's patio, which has got a aluminum roof over it, and all the sawdust goes flying outside.
That's a nice way to have it.
Yeah, either that or a vacuum setup, where you've got hoses running. That's what Bob Zambelli's got, hoses running to all of, his workstations, and that's a pretty handy way to do it too. And when I'm sanding a fuselage and getting the DC 540 primer off or something like that, I just throw a box fan face down on top of a milk crate, and then put a air conditioner filter on top of that. And the fan sucks the filter down so it doesn't move around, and it catches all of my dust from sand and primer. That works all right for me. Kind of the redneck method of catching your dust.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
I normally go out on the front deck and take my models if it's a nice fine day, if I'm going to sand primer and stuff. But yeah, the balsa dust really agitates you if you've got a cold or you've got the flu.
It makes me feel like I've got a bad cold the next day, and I've really thought I did have a bad cold a couple of times, and then it clears up by the next day. And but it's irritating. It really gets in your system. They say that's not good for you. That's what the doctor told John Brodak when he started getting cancers. I think he had like some in the throat or vocal cords. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that through the grapevine, I heard his doctor had told him that was proven to be a carcinogen as balsa dust. So we probably ought not to breathe any more than we have to. Jim Ballard's asking, is anybody here going to the F2B team trials this coming weekend in Dallas? He says he's only 3 hours away, so he's going to go watch.
I'm not going to be here. Steve is supposed to be over there.
Steve Hines?
Yeah.
Well, that's a long way for Steve to go.
Well, I think he's going for Samantha to go try.
Oh, well, that's good. Okay, F2B is stunt, right? Yeah. F2, what is combat? F2C?
F2D. F2D.
F2D.
F2D.
Yeah, F2C.
Okay.
F2C is team race. F2A is speed. F2B is L1. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not up on my FAI lingo. Well, Gerald, how's your arm coming along? How many weeks has it been in the cast now? About 2 weeks?
Nearly 2 weeks, but it's just a bit of a curse when you're trying to work on the planes. But
yeah,
it'll mean I can do a winter build. I'll try and work on that Nobler because I'll be unable to do any heavy work, and they've told me I've got to go easy on it. So I'll go easy on the arm, but I'll try and go well on the building instead.
What is it going to be? 6 weeks total before you get it off?
It's something between 6 and 8 weeks. If it goes bad and the bones shorten too much, they may have to operate on it. But at this stage, they're running without an operation.
Yeah.
But if the bones are sort of broken diagonally and they're sliding across each other, and if it's too short, they'll have to operate and
is it your wrist? Is it your wrist or your forearm?
In the forearm, it's a little bit further down than the wrist, about this level here. I think when the log fell on it, it hit the ladder and that shattered it. So
my wife's foot seems to be healing up. She never did actually have any real pain, but we took her last Tuesday, and he had to take the cast off to check the skin underneath, and she begged him not to put the cast back on, and talked him into letting her use the boot. So just not a matter of not letting that thing touch the floor. It's not supposed to have any pressure, and that's what the biggest pain in the ass of all is, because it's some people can get a break where they'll let you use a walking cast, but one where you can't put any pressure on it, man, that makes it a royal pain in the ass to get around and do things. Yeah, but she's a trooper. She's weathering through it. So a couple more weeks, she'll probably be hopping around again. Hey Frank, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How you doing, Rusty?
All right. What you working at?
Building fuselage to my eaglet.
Gerald, how did you break your arm?
I was cutting an old branch on that had broken in a storm. I was just trimming it back so it wasn't a really big branch, and I got complacent and the branch fell back towards me, hit my arm hit the ladder. So I've cut down many trees in my years, but it's the first time I've broken something. It shows you don't want to get complacent, particularly at the end of the day.
Yeah, it gets.
Yeah, like my signature on the forums says, never ever think about how good you are at something while you're doing it. It's not exactly what complacency is, but it kind of goes hand in hand with that. Driving a car is a good time to heed that rule.
Yep.
Oh, James's model's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a pretty sharp old fire cat.
Oh, this ain't the fire
Yeah.
cat. This is the
Oh,
Mentor.
what model's this, James?
The Mentor. It's like a
Mentor.
big old. Got flaps and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Never heard of that.
Got a foam wing.
Minotaur, yeah. When you first started talking about it, I was thinking you were saying Minotaur, but what is a Minotaur? Is that some kind of mythical animal?
Yeah.
Yeah, some Greek animal, Greek mythology.
What Gerald looks like when he goes take a shower.
What? What'd you say?
That's what Gerald looks like when he goes take a shower.
Okay. Now I can't unsee that picture.
He looks like a.
I can't.
What's on the Mentor then, James?
What's that?
Has this got the LA 46 on it, or is this the?
It's a 40 LA with a tongue muffler. One tank. So I don't know who made the tongue muffler, but it's got a pressure tap run to a clunk tank, and the 40 it has a Super Tiger needle on it. I mean, it runs all right. I only got a couple of flights on it, but I'm not really too concerned at the moment. At least not till my contest is over with next week. Then I'll start venturing with it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's looking good. Looking a nice combination.
Your contest is next weekend, the 20th, 21st?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine too.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope it's a beautiful October day with nice mild breeze, just enough to where the wind can be your friend, and not like yesterday where it was causing it to accelerate at 100 miles an hour when you pull your vertical down legs. And,
It's not fun.
that caught up with me. I shouldn't have been. I should have bailed out and flown flat. I knew it, but I got a little too bold, and I was too weak from not flying and didn't have my legs under me like I should have, and I kind of was stepping towards it when it would pull on me on the down legs, and I stepped towards it enough to where I pancaked it, pulling out of a square. Didn't hurt it.
See, here's our projected forecast for that week. It's supposed to be high 85, low 65 for the Saturday, high 83, low 60.
That sounds nice. It'd be nice if it's a little over.
Yeah, that's what the Monday.
I'm hoping it'll be a little overcast. That would be ideal too. Where you don't have the sun in your eyes, no matter where you have to do your stunts. This is the only.
Yeah, I mean, it is projected to have 10% rain too.
Yeah, that's almost nothing.
Yeah, and east miles an hour. It's glad to know they could predict how hard the wind's going to be blowing next weekend.
Yeah,
but they also said that Hurricane Nate was supposed to, we never got any rain from it.
We didn't either. I think we got some rain about that time, but I'm not sure it was associated with that hurricane.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we didn't have our little get together for the ring-a-thon, because the hurricane, we ain't gonna do it. But it ended up raining over there anyway. I mean, granted, the field's like an hour away from me. It rained and the wind was bad. So,
well, sometimes that's an advantage too. It separates those who have the guts to fly from those who don't.
True. Yeah, but test out those good models that are built for less than ideal conditions. That's where the old-time models would have got a very light wing loading and very lightly built suffer under those conditions.
They just slice right through it.
Yeah.
And
I've heard the movie a good wind airplane.
well, yeah, so I hear. That's what that's what Daryl's been flying. I was complaining last week. I've been slow on catching up with my YouTube watching, and I did finally watch him fly some patterns with the smoothie, and he's doing right well with it. And I was kind of surprised. I didn't know Daryl was interested in learning control line stunt until just recently when he started, showing us his progress and learning, but he's picking it up pretty quick, especially for somebody that doesn't really have a coach out there that can help him trim his planes and, tell him when the wings are level or if it's hinging and things that's hard to see from the center of the circle.
Yeah, that's going to be my challenge because there's nobody flies control line down here.
And video doesn't help a lot. You can't tell a lot of that stuff from video, whether the wings are level, because you can't see the lines. And when I check for wings level, I watch the lines and trace them as an imaginary line through the plane and coming out the other wingtip. And so, it's just something you can't get eyes on with a video.
Yeah. You
could tell a drastic problem, but I'm looking for minute problems.
Yeah.
I think all that's left to do on my P40 is move the lead outs around a little bit and see if I can get it to hang tighter up top. And other than that, I think she's ready to go. Fuel load's not a problem. Everything else flies well with it, and I just got to get used to it. So if I can get used to it in one day, then I'll be all right.
Problem solved.
With the twister, that's the one that was leaking, and did not fix it, but I do know what's happening now. Yesterday I took it out to the field and I tied it to the fence and cranked it and just watched it and didn't do anything. It was bone dry. So I thought, well, hell, maybe it was nothing but a loose muffler, because I did realize during that test run that the muffler was loose. So I tightened that up and ran another tank through it, and it was still bone dry. Well, we walked it out into the field and cranked it up, and as I was walking out to the handle, Wayne calls me back, says, "Come look at this." And I look down, and sure enough, there's just a roiling ring of fuel piling up around the base of the Venturi and spilling off. And I'm thinking, okay, well, the mission was to get a time on that engine run, so that's blown. And but it looks like it's either the gasket or somewhere around the needle valve. So I'm just going to take it all out, put a new needle valve in it, and Permatex it around where the gasket goes. And I think that should cure that problem. And I believe that plane's going to take a lipping full tank of gas just to get it to finish the pattern. And please don't let it be cold outside, or I won't have enough gas.
Jeez. Oh well. You need a bigger tank, it sounds like, but no.
Yeah, I don't have room to put a bigger tank on there, though. And yesterday when I pancaked it, I said all I broke was the prop, but I did realize the tank slid into the engine and bent the front of it, so it probably holds even less fuel now. So I got to take it off and pressure check it, because I'm sure it'll be leaking, and see if I can straighten it out a little bit. But there's always, Tim Westcott on Stunthangar always said, add 2 ounces of Coleman fuel to your gallons of gas and you'll increase your fuel mileage. And I hadn't tried that trick. I usually don't put much treatment in my gas, but I'm not above trying that if I find I'm still too low on fuel. But what I got to be able to do is have the needle set, and to be able to flip the prop, crank it, hit the lines in a hurry without screwing around, and get it in the air. And I'll have time, because in practice I've been flying less than 5 laps before the wing over and less than 6 inverted just to make sure I make it through the clover and out. But I can't do that in the contest, not without paying 25 points.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, what's up, Rusty and the gang?
Everything's about average. I got out and did a little more than sitting around and whining this weekend. Got out in the shop and got out in the field. So
we're good.
We're good. Had 2 planes. One of them's broke and the other one don't work. So actually, it's not all that bad. It's just one more trim flight on the P-40 to get the lead out set and to fix the leak, which I finally found on the twister. So those 2 things need to be done. But other than that, if I can hit the field one more day before Huntersville on the 20th, then I'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to put my Dragon together. I was actually working on it earlier today, and I'm hoping to get that together as I can fly maybe Wednesday and start preparing for my contest, which is the same weekend as yours.
Is the Strega the one with the stalker in it?
Yes. Yeah. Look forward to flying that again. I look forward to it.
Have you got the stalker back together?
No.
Oh boy.
Not yet, but it shouldn't take long to put it back together.
Yeah, you better get on that.
Yeah. I was just trying to get the crankcase into the plane. I have to redo the engine mounts because the original motor I had in there, the holes were off. Now that I have a pristine crankcase, I really don't want to elongate the holes on the new one. I want to keep them pristine.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fix the Strega to accommodate the pristine crankcase.
Yep. That makes a lot more sense.
That's what Jamie was talking about on his Firecat. He had a little pole alignment problem, but not bad enough to have to hog them out on the engine. But I'm not above hogging out the holes on an engine, whether it's new or not. But I understand that you want to keep it as pristine as possible.
Yeah, I'll have other planes, and when I put the other planes in, I'll just mount it correctly,
Yeah.
And you never know. I might come into another stalker or so. I'd like to have the mount, so if I need to put a different motor in the Strega, it'd be not an issue like I have right now.
Yeah. What was
How much fuel does that stalker take for a stunt run? 'Cause that's a big engine. That's a stalker.
81.
Bigger than this. Say it again.
Stalker 81.
81. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
That are a large engine.
Is that a 6-ounce fuel load?
That's an expensive
No,
engine.
actually, like 4 ounces.
Really?
Yeah, I can do the
It
pattern.
must not be working at all to fly that Strega.
I can do the pattern on actually less than 4 ounces. Like 3 3/4. I've done the whole pattern.
But he's leaned out so much he's doing a half-second laps.
Nope.
No, it's running like it's turning like 8,000. Excuse me. I think I had it turning
where y'all are,
7,000.
but when you get to the contest, don't overlook the fact that, well, in my area, the weather's probably going to be 10 degrees cooler, being that part of October. That's about where our weather all of a sudden drops from the 80s and 90s to the 60s and 70s, and so that'll increase your fuel load. So don't overlook that. I remember at Huntersville, a lot of Octobers seeing planes on Profile Saturday dropping like flies out of the sky because they're running out of gas.
Yeah, but good thing is I do have a 6-ounce tank in there, so I can always add a little bit more if I need to.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. But that is a good reminder. I appreciate that, Rusty, because I could fall short and run out, on top of the overhead 8s,
Yeah.
because the temperature and the altitude, everything is changing up there.
Yeah, I hate it when I get that burp in the first or second loop of the overhead 8 because I'm like, oh, Lord, we're going to have to gut it out once again. and Sparky had his cut off right as he was. I think it was in the wing over out of the clover, and he had to whip it to get the 2 qualifying laps out of it before he landed. And he did, but it kind of made his landing a little irregular, so that kind of screwed things up. But it was otherwise a good flight.
Yeah, I remember seeing that video. That was pretty neat.
Yeah. I wanted to holler at him. I wanted to holler at him when he got to 2 laps, but I was standing right next to the judges, so I didn't want to be shouting over the judges because that might irritate them.
I remember Sparky was saying, "Did I make it? Did I make it?" or something.
Yeah. Finally, I hollered out. I couldn't wait any longer, and said, "Yeah, that's it," or something like that, and he put it down.
Well, Charles, what sort of prop do you use on your Stalker 81?
That's I use a 13. I think it's a 13.6, but it's actually the last inch of it is actually repitched to like 9.5.
That's interesting.
And it's a peculiar setup. I had a friend who kind of guided me along, and he was telling me, I know it sounds weird, but this will work. And so I first, because that motor, I just couldn't get any more speed out of it. And he said, don't try to get it with the needle, do it with pitch. So I just kept repitching until I got the speed I wanted. And it looks like it's not going very fast, but it's actually doing like 5.2 lap second times.
Is that a carbon prop? Is that a carbon fiber prop?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got Frank locked in on my screen here. Yeah, working on his fuselage.
Yeah.
Hey, Bandit, what's going on, man? David Fountain's with us.
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, we're pretty good. We were just reviewing our weekends and upcoming contests.
Yeah, I just got through putting my helicopter back together. I got feeling a little bit decent, so I went to the local field to go flying, and I had emergency. Had a flame out, had emergency auto right in the tall grass on the other side of the field.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I had to walk about a quarter mile to go get it in the grass. Luckily, it didn't tip over. I just got through putting it back together. It's got a YS91 ST2. It's an older one.
Oh, wow.
That fuel-injected engine in it. And they're not toys for the ST2 is not toys for breaking rings, and it's got a broken ring. And what happened? That's what caught the flame out. Time for me to put the SR in it, the new SR. So I got one. I just had to put one in it.
Is that a 2-cylinder engine?
That's a single. Just a 91. It's a big motor. It's thirsty too. It'll kill a 16-ounce tank in about 8 minutes.
Wow. How many RPMs does that motor spin while you're flying?
Constant 17,000.
17. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's cranking.
Yes, it's got a governor on it.
How fast does the rotor turn?
I run a head speed around 2,000. And it's for aerobatics. I mean, if you're not careful and you get too funny with the collective stick, which is kind of like the throttle stick, it'll be 100 feet before you can blink. So it's quick. It don't wait. That looks like an eaglet.
It is.
Oh, that's Eaglet 52, ain't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't built one of those in years, man. I could build one of them about blindfolded. I built so many of those things.
Same here. This is my 6th one.
What engine you gonna put in?
30
Wow.
in you.
It's gonna go.
Oh, it will. It's the same engine I've used in all of them.
Yeah, I was kind of crazy one time with mine. I used to run pylon racing years ago, and I had a little Nelson 15, and I just got funny, and I stuck it in it to see what it would do. Didn't go real fast, but it sure enough made a lot of noise.
Is that a Carl Goldberg kit?
Yeah.
Yes, a Carl Goldberg kit, yes.
Good evening, Steve. How you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good. This damn thing. I thought I'd try this tablet instead, but it ain't any better than the phone.
It's not any worse as far as I can tell.
No.
Let me click on you and see what you look like. Yeah, I got a reasonably clear picture. Looks about the same as the phone, I guess.
Yeah, but anyway, get back to my helicopter. I ended up had to go fish it out, and I had to go pull the engine apart, and sure enough, it broke the ring and scored up the cylinder right at the exhaust port. So problem is the SD2 now you can't get parts for. So I've got the brand new YS91 SR. Well, excuse me, not 91. I'm in a 96 SR. Yeah, 96 SR. Which is a little bit step up. It's the most current one.
Is that a 4-stroke or a 2-stroke?
2-stroke, but fuel injected. Pressure fuel injection.
We talked about that yet.
Just make sure you put the tanks together real nice and tight, because if you don't, they will pop apart.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I see one of Gerald's proteges is on with us. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well. We did some flying yesterday. We had a few crashes. Not bad.
It was on
Oh, well, that's control. I had a crash yesterday too. Didn't break
There wasn't
anything.
fun, but it was role models. Sadly we didn't do any.
We did. We
Well,
flew
yes,
control
we
line on
did.
Sunday.
It's on Ringmaster, but yes, I also flew yellow model, very troublesome. I kept walking towards the pole, and Dad stopped me, but didn't really want to do it. But I did a few crashes. Dad's plane, his wing broke. It got broken by the wind, not actually an accident. This was the damaged model, but it's now in fully repaired order.
All right.
Yes, and it needs quite a lot of winding up. And once I was winding up my plane, or my dad's plane, because I didn't have one of those kind of planes. Let me just tell you what it looks like. I'll show you. Yes, one of these AMA flies. It's also got a bit of wind.
Oh, well, I like it.
And I held up, and I kept, winding it. So I kept going like this. And the motor broke. It got a heap load of, those curvy bits in it. And then it just went, dong! Just went up into one big solid twisted boil. And mine flew quite well. Otto stalled always, and then it went down, it was like doing a dolphin kind of move.
Yeah. Sounds like it took a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, it did exactly that.
That's cool.
That's a pretty cool looking little plane.
Yes, I've always wanted to do this, and there's one little feature of these. I don't know if this is included in the plan, but I think it was, is that the wings are aimed up. So you can think it can go at terribly good angles. I don't know if there's a reason why I like that.
Very simple to build.
Yes, they're quite simple, but my mind, I don't really know. And I made one of these. It's quite hard, but easy for Dad. He made these when he was a child, and I even named mine. I don't really have a name, but if the camera could pick that up, it says Max's mini race station. It goes quite fast. Can I give it a whirl for you? Okay.
Yeah, room.
So it's all over modelling. And rubber models, and try to get the boys interested in buying rubber models as well. Even the basics before they're starting in radio control or something. It's more of a distraction from learning the basic skills.
Very good.
They were flying this camera the other day, but James was talking about the engine lights when they kick off, so one of the dogs.
Hey, Gerald, I don't know, you might want to adjust your microphone or something. You're not very clear on audio all of a sudden. It was okay. And then
Yeah, I'll try.
Oh, you sound better now.
that sounds better.
I'll try and put a bit closer to the microphone.
There we go. Much better.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, who else is joining us? Yeah.
Hey, Bandit, did you and Bill get out and fly any ringmasters this weekend?
Unfortunately, no. I'm way up in Atlanta, and Bill's down in
Oh, that's right. You're still in Atlanta.
I'm able to anyway because I can't really have the tugging on me. So I wanted to. I mean, that was my plan, but when I had that little incident with my motorcycle, that kind of did that in. So.
My only excuse was I forgot to put my ringmaster in the car before I went to the field.
And besides, it wouldn't have been a good time anyway. We had nothing but rain and everything. So.
Yeah. It was too windy here for me to be flying that micro ringmaster anyway, because it was too windy to be flying anything, and I still flew.
You know, that little micro ringmaster is a little hot rod.
Yeah.
It sounds like you got a ticked off gnat on too many Red Bulls. Take to the spring, you know, it's what it. But, you know, it's a good flyer. Just be careful if you ever do any loops with it. You know, it's not really capable of doing pattern and everything.
Yeah, I found that out real fast.
They make a stunt, a micro stunt a ringmaster, which is a tad bigger.
I've got one. Yeah, it's got a 20-something inch wing on it.
It'll pull it fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't built it yet, but that's a nice little plane. I think one of our Cox Engine Forum guys cut those out for me. Was it what's his name?
Is it
Peter Gregory, or I can't remember now.
Whoever he is, I can't remember his name. Can't remember who he is.
But he's got his own little laser cutter. He did a great job cutting those out. And everything was a perfect fit on the little micro slab wing micro ring.
Yeah, that's the little hot rod. That's the one that's for you.
Mine has Ron Cribb's engine on it. He left it with me when he came to visit last winter. So maybe we'll fly it. He's coming in December, so maybe we'll fly it then.
What fuel you running at, 25 or 35?
35.
Yeah, the 35 runs a lot better than the other one now.
Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much use 35 and all the half A's.
Yeah, just if you use one of those little, nice starters, kind of like what I use, try to let it wait for a little while, because if you pull it straight off the charge or something, then try to use it, it'll blow the head. It will. I learned the hard way. But, use just the two D-cell batteries for those. The head's a little bit fragile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're good little running engines if you figure out how to run them. So. And I'll enjoy mine. Yeah, that Eagle is coming along pretty good. Have you started on the wing yet?
Yeah, I got the wing and the stab and fin finished. They're hinged and everything ready to cover.
Cool. You've done 3-channel or 4-channel?
I'm doing 4.
Okay.
Make it 6-channel. Put some rockets on.
I actually saw one about 3 or 4 years ago. I saw one that had flaps on it.
That'd be kind of cool. It doesn't really need it, but
No, it don't. But it was a real floater.
yeah, these things don't want to land.
Nope.
What you mean? It's really floaty.
But they're fun. They're a fun little airplane. I know I enjoyed mine. You know, I built. I had 2 wings. Well, I had 3 wings for mine. I had the 3-channel wing. With the 4 inches to head draw. I had the 4-channel wing, and I had a 4-channel wing that's totally flat. It's built with no dead, and that was a pretty good flyer too. So.
I never thought about doing a flat wing.
Yeah, it was a good little airplane. I just wish they never quit making. Probably one of the best.
Flying every now and then. Here's my wing.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that's a
Flying
nice.
every now and then.
They're absolute. They're king of simplicity. Are you using the in-kit torque rods, or are you using those rods?
I'm using the torque rods.
The old style one, just going.
I'm just going by the plans.
Yeah, going mechanical.
I scratch built my fin and stabilizer. Here they are.
Yeah, nice. It brings back memories, man. It brings back way back.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, those things are king. Huh? Those things are the king of simplicity.
Oh yeah. You can actually build them in a night or 2.
Yes, you can. I know I stuck one together the other night because I managed to crunch mine one time. I actually hit the ground hard enough to split the fuselage and then it just like, and I got a, so I built another kit, and just like I said, I had it built in a weekend. So, well, it wasn't overnight, but I had it built in a weekend, not through the cover.
Yeah.
Yep, doing the rubber bands.
It's like CEO Guy joined us tonight.
Who, me? Oh,
It looks like CEO Guy joined us.
okay.
Oh, there's 9 of us here right now, isn't there? Let's see.
Hey, Paul, is that you, Paul?
2, 6, 7,
Yeah.
8.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Charles.
Paul Taylor.
Oh,
Thought
wow.
I'd hop in here and see what the chatter's about.
The usual.
Yeah, we're just talking about all kinds of models and modeling and flying and stuff.
And stuff.
I think we got a full complement. Well, I think there's 9 of us in here now, so
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yep, there sure is.
Yeah, 9.
Gonna do
yeah,
your pictures.
it might be why Terry and Wally aren't here, because we got a full complement. It won't let us have any more than 9.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. You're gonna
Yeah.
do the picture?
CL guy, that's Paul Taylor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been in here with us before? I'm not sure if we've actually met. I mean, I know who you are and all, but
Oh no.
I can't remember if you've been.
I don't think I've ever been on one.
Yeah.
Been on.
Yeah.
I've been at the same field as him. I didn't actually know.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah, we usually have a pretty good time. It takes us about an hour to get in the groove and everybody chatting, but we've had some classic moments over the year that we've been doing this.
Anybody here from this week or anything?
Say what?
Anybody here from Sparky at all this week?
No, not this week.
No, that was it.
Yeah.
I had some very interesting tips on covering the foam models last week. It was really neat, talking about covering them using the squidgy card and the epoxy. He was talking to Wally about covering the Magnum, and I was thinking, I've got my Magnum there. I wonder if I've stuck the skins on yet or not, because I was thinking of using it for my winter build as well as the Nobler that I've got. But it was some very interesting information. I think of my son's mold that he built, a biplane that's up on the wall, and we used not white glue to cover the foam, but we used the Gorilla Glue, and that was heavy as hell, that stuff. I'd never use it again on a model in any substantial quantity.
Because it expands too much. It expands really.
Yeah, it expands like crazy, and it weighs a ton.
Yeah. Ever since I've watched Sparky laminate and sheeting, I've been a lot more conservative with my epoxy, and that's saved me a lot of grief, because I always make such a mess with epoxy, and realizing how little you actually need has been a big help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got right before I came on tonight, I was out in the shop gluing the beams into the nose of my Cardinal, and I got it clamped up and hardening out there. So I'll show the pictures of that later on. I was kind of waiting for Terry and Wally to get here, since Terry's building a Cardinal too. So I'll hang on to that. I got about just 3 or 4 pictures of my progress so far. But Paul, we're doing a group build on here this winter, and everybody's building some different planes, but the idea is to you know, just talk about the different parts of it as we build it, and kind of ask and see how everybody else would have done the same thing, and just kind of cherry pick answers and see if we can learn something from it. And we're just getting started. Everybody's just getting their kits unboxed, and 2 of us are building Cardinals, and I can't remember what else everybody's got going on, but hopefully we'll all build about the same speed and get them together and be flying them by maybe springtime, if not sooner.
Yeah, I've got a brother.
Scratch build that's caliber finish. It's getting closer, and I'm going to try one more time on a wing on a Pentland Spitfire.
I bet is that Spitfire wing difficult to build, because this tapered in both directions.
It has been for me. I'll put it that way.
It got the geodetic wing rib configuration.
No, the Pentland Spitfire came out in the December of 1960 aero modeler, so it's old school. I modernized it some, but it is old school.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to try doing. I'm going to do with the jig built wing halves, but I think I'm going to try doing the spars like the original instructions said. They're quarter square, but he built them by laminating 1/8 by quarter together with like white glue, and did them on the form for them so it would get the right profile. I'm going to go ahead and make a form for it with some rigid foam, bake them that way, and then as I build a half, I'll put the full spar on it and cut it where I need to on both of them, and then put together, and hopefully they will match up nicely.
Is laminating with white glue a problem with warpage? Because it takes forever to get all the moisture out of it, doesn't it?
Yep, that's hopefully not. I'm going to use tight bond probably. But
hey, Jared Hayes just joined us.
Hey, Jared, leave it glued pinned down to the form for a few days at least.
Yeah, at least.
That way it'll make sure that it fits into the rib profiles correctly and gets the correct shape on that wing.
Yeah. Well, what if you got it weighted down with something that completely covers?
I haven't built them yet. I'm going to make a new form. I tried doing it with the quarter balsa like they had originally said.
I wonder if you need to
my word, was that a disaster.
I wonder if you need to put towels between your weights and the wood, so the moisture's got somewhere to go as it dries. Is that what you do?
Yeah, that's probably what I'll do.
Because a lot of people use magazines. I was watching Bob Hunt, I think, was stacking magazines on top of his to weight them down.
Yeah.
How you doing, Jared?
Hey, not too bad.
Hadn't seen you in a while. You been up to any fun?
Oh, just stuff around the house. That and working.
Got any contest coming up?
Yeah, our contest is next Sunday, or this Sunday. It was supposed to be the 1st, but we got rained out. So we pushed it back to the 15th.
You and your dad going?
Yeah, my dad will be judging, and I'll be contest directing and judging. I don't know if I'll be able to fly or not. We'll see.
How's your dad doing?
He's getting better. He got the leg brace off, so he's getting around a little better, but still got a long ways to go.
That's good. I was curious about your dad too.
Yeah.
The rest, I'm going to sign off. I'll check back in. Maybe Wally can get in if I get out.
Okay.
I want to work on my Strega and get that thing ready. So I got to get some work done.
Okay. I'm going to show some pictures of my cardinal progress in a little while too. So if you miss it here, you can come back and watch it on the reruns. But
that's right.
I'll try
All
to
right,
wait.
guys, have a good night. I'll check back with you later.
All right. Take it easy.
Good night, Charles.
See you, Charles.
See ya.
See you, Charles.
I'm on step away. I got to go turn my air conditioner down a little cooler. I'll be right back. I'm starting to work up a sweat here. Y'all got me so excited.
I'm going to try to get me through this
Right, what motor are you using on the Spitfire? Michael, what's the motor you're going to use on the Spitfire? Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, there he goes.
Oh, here he comes.
Hey, I'm not no asshole.
Hello. Well, Michael, is this the wing so far?
All right. I'm back.
Michael's pulled out a nice looking wing there, but I'm not sure if it's his Spitfire or if it's something else he's working on.
Nope, that's
Click on him. He's talking
way. With the multi-spars, but I am making landing gear blocks so I can have a removable landing gear in it.
That's something I got to learn how to do. I've never built wing-mounted gear into a model before, so I've opted to do that on my Cardinal. And so tonight, actually, when I was gluing the doublers in, I also have a hardwood block that's supposed to glue in behind the doublers right at the lead edge to support the landing gear. And I decided to, since I wasn't going to use the fuselage mounted landing gear, I made a block out of balsa instead. I didn't want to change grades of wood and create a stress riser, and I thought I was probably better off just stuffing that hole with a balsa square. So I hope I made the right decision on that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, but everything's out in the shop hardening now. I got the beams mounted in, and the beams look like really good hardwood. So I hope they'll be good. I've had some beams before of questionable quality with a little bit of a bow in them, and that makes it a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Steve's back with us.
And that.
It's so weird. I can hear you guys just fine on the stream. I go to YouTube, but when I get in here, then it all goes nuts.
YouTube cleans it up when they record. I'm not sure why, but we're a lot jumpier and glitchier in between conversations in here than it actually records on YouTube sometimes. I've turned my bandwidth back up tonight. I'm looking a little bit jumpy. I'm going to try turning it down and smoothing my motions out anyway. Let's see. Yeah. There we go. That'll make me, that'll make my motions more smooth, but it makes me blurrier, but it doesn't really matter. Blurry is probably good with me.
Yeah.
Blurry would definitely be better with me.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, I've enjoyed all of the windy videos you put up on your channel. That's great. Like, I'm building this Cardinal, so I went and watched him build a Cardinal wing, and is always full of great ideas.
Yeah, there's still a lot of good information there. So he was a pretty good builder. So I've still got probably about a little over 100 DVDs that he sent me. I've still got to get those uploaded. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 office boxes of VHS tapes I've got to convert.
Wow.
So still a lot more to come. I've just been a little lax here the last week or so.
No, that's okay. We appreciate all the work.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
You don't have to move too fast because it takes a long time to watch those.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, there's not a whole lot of good stuff on TV anymore, so I just soon sit and watch those for a couple hours every night.
They're a great resource. I remember watching Wendy's videos back in the 80s, and I learned so much from them. I'd sit there with a notebook taking notes and writing out all the different moments and areas and things, and yeah, it was just a huge amount of information that he went through.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. In most of the ones I watch, he uses primarily CA glue for everything. And back in the 80s, if he was making videos, he probably was using something else like aliphatic glue, or what did he use primarily back then?
I've seen him. Yeah, I'm with you. I've mostly seen him use CA. I mean, he has done some aliphatic stuff, but yeah, most of it's CA. He's a big believer in CA and using that to just harden stuff up to do a quick and dirty paint job on wheel.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I had no idea that people were using that much CA to build things like a wing, and it makes it so much faster and easier.
Yeah, and heavier.
And you can build it so much straighter because it can't change shape while the glue's hardening.
Yeah.
Now, poor quality CA out there. There's some really crappy CA out there that's diabolical, and you have to go over and reinforce it with white glue because it just doesn't bond. That's the good stuff, though.
This stuff is the best stuff I've ever used.
It took me a while to understand the differences and uses between the different types of CAs too. I never really appreciated thin CA and how you could assemble. The first time I built a model with CA, I didn't know how to use it, and I tried to pre-glue it and jam it together straight, and
it don't work.
Total catastrophe.
Yeah, thin CA is for balsa joints or tight joints. Medium thick is for plywood and all that.
Right.
I think Tom Morris mostly uses
gaps.
Tom uses, yeah, he does, and he puts it on like rivets too. He dots it.
Yep, and I think it's watered down too. I think he kind of thins it out some.
Yeah, I've tried doing it like that before in my center sheeting and that sort of thing, but after getting used to CA, I'm finding that's what I seem to pick up first, except for the high stress areas like the wing root and the engine mounts. I go with epoxy.
Yep.
Just don't do like what I did one time and not dang ball thin zaps, Pacer Zap CA over on my bench, and it leaked on my leg with my jeans. That sucker glued my jeans to my leg.
Yeah, I've come close to doing that.
Yeah, not only it got really hot when I stood it up, now that it ripped it right off my leg and it tore the skin with it and everything.
Oh man.
I haven't done it that bad, but I've done it bad enough it burns like bloody.
Nothing like needing a skin graft on your crotch to make a
my brother was messing around with it.
I've had my bloopers with that stuff.
Ooh.
I think the best one is when I had one set too fast and I was trying to hold the joint and everything got in too close. I glued my nose to the side of the fuselage.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta watch that thin stuff. That stuff loves skin. I don't care what, if it's thick or medium or thin. That stuff bonds skin instantly.
Yeah.
I think
My brother was trying to get a bottle, a thin one, unplugged, and he was poking it with a pin and squeezing it. And he finally got it. When he squeezed it, it hit me in my eye and glued my eyelid shut.
Oh crap!
Yeah.
And I had blisters on my eyelid, and I had no eyelash left. Glued all my eyelashes together, and we had to pull all my eyelashes out.
How did you get it back
Luckily,
apart?
it hit directly in your eye.
Well, luckily, I blinked. It's like it must have been reflexes. My brain picked it up coming at my eye, and it shut. Or I was just happened to be winking at the time, and it hit it when it was shut. Glued the two lids right together.
Well, did you have to go to the doctor to get it back apart?
No, we just kept messing with it, and kind of like on your fingers after the oil and stuff. After that's a little bit, you can peel it off. About a half an hour, I got it all off.
I bet there was a little panic moment there too, wasn't there?
Yeah, especially when my eyelids started on fire. You can't make it feel better, you know.
Yeah, that's about the long of it.
You know what? The good thing is though, if that glue had actually gone in your eye, it usually won't hurt your eyeball, if I understand correctly, because it's so wet that the CA cures faster than it can grab a hold of any of the tissue.
Good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So you end up with an eye full of gunk that comes right out, but still try to avoid that at all costs.
I didn't realize that Bob Smith, his Flex CA is the same thing that he sells the medical profession.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the test, whatever. But each bat has, it has to test things. I don't.
Steve, your voice is breaking up so bad now.
The audio's breaking up bad.
Yeah.
So did I understand? I think I remember reading on Stunthangar that Lindy is pretty much entirely out of precision aerobatics or control line.
Yeah,
That's what I gather. That he's all motorcycles now.
yeah, he's all cycles and his grandson Miles.
Well, I heard that he's putting his benches back in his base build again.
Well, that's not inconceivable. You get tired of one and go to the other. It's good to have two fallback hobbies.
I think his grandson is wanting to start to fly now.
Well,
that would bring him back.
Yeah.
If Miles ever showed interest, he said he would build him a plane. So who knows?
So does Wendy even have any planes left, or?
I think he still has like his, Spitfires and maybe, his Tiger Cat and his bombers and stuff. They're up in the attic.
I figure he's got some that are close to his heart that he wouldn't want to let go of.
Well,
they said it's a real.
Yeah, they're up in the attic. They said if you
Yeah.
want to,
That's a real tribute to you. Just things you've done over your life that you wouldn't want to get rid of all of it. But Paul, are you personal friends with Wendy, or you just know him through the hobby and that sort of thing? Or
well, I mean, yeah, I met him at Brodak, and we chatted for a while, and so we talk every once in a while, swap emails.
I like him a lot from the videos. I mean, he's a brilliant guy.
Oh yeah.
What plane is that behind you? That looks like a Wendy fuselage.
Yeah, that's his Testarossa.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew you brought that one to Brodak that year.
Yeah. Yeah, he handed that off to me for loading up all those videos.
Wow.
So I've still yet to still yet to fly it or get the nerve to fly it anyway. I'll probably do something with it this fall, kind of after the season settles down.
Now, has that got a Rojet engine in it and stuff, or?
It does. Yep. Got a
nice.
76 in it.
Is
I
it
see
piped?
now. That's a bigger.
Now, is that one piped, or does it have the header muffler?
It came with a couple of pipes. I've got the twin stinger and this single stinger, so I'm probably just going to fly with the single.
That Testarossa an offshoot of the Pattern Master?
I think kind of everything he did was, built around that technology, but I mean, they're all.
He built beautiful airplanes.
They all have Big Jim style wings, don't they?
Well, that's a Dave Migley wing. It's all that entire thing is carbon fiber, the fuselage and the wing. So the Navanta and the Tribute all had the same wing in them.
Mm-hmm.
What does that weigh? All up.
I think it's like in the mid 70s or something. I haven't personally weighed it.
Are you familiar with his Sweeper 900, the black and white one at all?
I've seen pictures of it, and then he's got one of his sweepers is at Brodak in the shop there.
Yeah, the one that's at Brodak is entirely different than the black and white one.
I think Bob's still got one hanging in his workshop. I can't remember if I saw it down there the other day or not.
Yeah, I think there's an orange one and a blue one, but they're entirely different airplanes than the black and white one. My dad saw that black and white one back at the Nats in I think it was early 80s. And he rant and raved about that plane just because, it was so huge, 900 square inches. And my dad was just kind of starting to get into the, flying competitions and that. And they said they were at the Nats and they saw this just mammoth plane just going up and over into a wheel, and they ran over and go, look at this, and I guess some lady was flying it. I don't know if it was Wendy's wife or who it was, but he was just amazed that some gal was flying this plane.
Yeah.
And
I can't fly one that size. No way, no how.
Yeah, so he got pictures of it. I posted them on Stunthangar at one time, but they're all on Photo Bucket, and I guess Photo Bucket's either crashed or what. All those pictures I posted, I think, are gone now. But
Photo Bucket's worthless. I got so sick of that place, and I started hosting my own pictures now using Dropbox, and that's so easy. And if you want to modify what one looks like after it's already posted on the forums, you can modify it, and then they'll, whoever links to it will start seeing what you did. And right here on my own computer.
I remember.
Well, it's on my web folder, my Dropbox web-based folder.
Yeah, I remember years ago, Photo Bucket was great, but then last 2 years, every time I get on there, it's just full of garbage and commercials and pop-ups.
Yeah, you can't even get to your pictures. And I paid them last year to go ad-free, and I can't tell any difference. And so screw them. They're out of my rotation now. Now that I found Dropbox, there's so many things. It's so convenient. You can pass along files to people no matter how big they are, and you can host your own pictures without an external host. So yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah, that black and white Sweeper 900 was kind of the reason behind my dad building that Stiletto 770 and blowing it up and doing a high aspect ratio. Was all kind of originated off of that black and white Sweeper 900.
Is that the Stiletto we had at Huntersville last year?
Yeah, yep. And I don't. We had issues with that plane, my dad's Stiletto at Huntersville. What we didn't know or didn't realize was that somehow in the car ride from Omaha to North Carolina, somehow one of the flaps, something must have got set on the flap and tweaked the flap. And so as he was flying, the outboard wing was up. And, I was flying 3 different planes and 3 different events. And so when he was flying, I didn't, take the time. Normally I would look at his plane and make sure everything looks to be in order. And, I didn't have time because I was working on 3 different planes of mine, trying to get them ready to go for test flights and competition. Yeah. And so he was fighting that issue. And then the other thing is, there's that little bit of that hump there in the circle there at Huntersville.
Yeah.
And he didn't notice that, and he actually grazed the prop and split the end of the prop. And so we had to throw a different prop on. And even though it was the same brand of prop and supposed to be the same size, it wasn't. Something was wrong with it. And his lap times was almost a half second slower than what they were supposed to be. So between the slower lap times and the outboard wing being up, he had no line tension. And so he was fighting that like crazy. And I didn't catch that the wing was up until after his second official flight. And then after we got back home, we got the flap tweaked back the way it should have been. We put a different prop on it, and now it's flying great again.
Man, that's disappointing.
Yeah, so
we got that circle fixed, by the way. They're both flattened out and resealed now.
Oh, nice. So yeah, we'd like to come back if we can make another trip down there. I know it won't be this year, but maybe next year. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope so.
So yeah, after he's healed up, and now we got his plane flying good, and we'll see what we can do. But yeah, that black and white Sweeper 900 was the whole kind of brainchild, or what started the whole thing with that Stiletto 770.
Was it the one in Flying Models? It was featured in Flying Models in the early 80s. I remember it looked like a dark blue model though to me. It was on, I think it might have been on the cover of one of the Flying Models magazines.
There was a couple different ones. The blue one is kind of had like an older fighter jet look to it, and then the black and white one had the iconic 80s stunt ship look, just the kind of pure precision aerobatic plane look to it, where the blue one had the big tall rudder and the big bubble canopy, kind of a round cowl around the motor. So
I wonder what inspired him to choose the name Sweeper.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Even that 900 look a little. The one that was in Flying Models in like 80 or 81. That thing was 1,200 square inches. He used yardsticks for spars.
Yeah.
Well, and he also had, I think he had one called Sunday something. What the heck was it? I can't remember. Sunday Silence or something. I can't remember what it was. And then he also had another one that was the MiG. I don't know if you remember ever seeing the MiG.
Yeah, I probably got the. Oh, right.
Got one of them again.
Yep.
Like these big ass bald motherfuckers.
Let me look and see if I can find that. I think I might have had a picture of it somewhere.
Hey, Paul, have you got all of Wendy's videos now on DVD or uploaded or whatever how you do it?
I've got most of them. I got most of them uploaded.
Okay, because I noticed that all the 2010 ones, I was watching all of them, and I think that was the last Nancy was at, and he may have went to, I think in 2011, we seen him for like 2 days at Brodak, and that was it. Grandson born while he was there or whatever, and then that was it.
Yeah, did anything at the last Brodak. But I've still got quite a few to upload.
Oh, I look forward to seeing more of them.
Certainly was prolific for a long time.
I might drop out now, just see that the boys get some afternoon tea, and I'll come back if you're still running later. So I'll say goodbye for now. And maybe
okay, Gerald. We'll probably be on till 12 or 12:30, something like that. So it's 11:15 now. Here, if you can convert that to New Zealand time.
Yep. I'll try and pop back. Yeah. Okay, bye.
All right.
Good one,
Take
Gerald.
it easy, Gerald.
Man.
Is there a way I can share a picture like from my computer to where you guys can see it on here, or no?
There is. First thing you do is open the picture in your whatever you open your pictures with, so that it's filling your screen like you want it to look.
Okay.
And then on this screen, you go up to the top left, mouse over, and a little bar will pop up. Second icon is a green box with a white arrow in it, and
Screen
click
share.
that.
Okay.
And you'll get a dialogue, and there will be a tab to that says use the application window to share it.
There we
then
go.
you click that, and it's self-explanatory.
Yeah, I remembered seeing that picture somewhere.
There
There's two
Oh,
of them,
and
black and
let me
white.
tell Paul, let me tell Paul something about looking at pictures. Paul, are you there?
Yeah.
If you want to look at somebody's screen and lock it in so that you can see it big size, then just click on their avatar box at the bottom, so it's got a white ring around it, and as long as you've got it clicked, you can focus on just that picture.
No, that's Wendy there with those two planes, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. The black and white one is that Sweeper 900, and then the other one, I can't remember the name. It was something Sunday, but like Sunday Silence or Sunday, I can't remember what it was. But yeah, they're virtually, I think, the same wing, the same moments, maybe a little bit different design on the fuselage. But I guess I heard both of them ended up folding up with, or I guess the more black and red one, I think a control horn broke or something the week before the Nats, and then I think the black and white one, I guess the wing folded on it.
Oh no,
that's sad.
But yeah, those are a couple hell of airplanes. Like I said, that black and white one is the idea behind my dad's blue stiletto.
That's nice, and that's an imaginative color scheme. Is simple, but it's really attractive.
Yeah, I think I got some other pictures of it.
Yeah, if you can manage to get them all in the same folder, then you can just use the arrow to click through all the way without having to do any more screen share junk. But you got to be prepared ahead of time for that sort of thing.
That was a good picture.
Another neat plane that Wendy made was the Executioner.
Never heard of that one.
Here's a better picture of that black and white. Let me do that screen share thing again. Whoops, hit the wrong button. Let's see. Okay. Screen share. No, now they didn't work. There we go. Okay, there it is.
Oh yeah.
Good picture of that airplane.
Went away.
Is it still there?
Yeah,
yeah, it is still there. I think I just clicked it off on my side by accident. Sweeper 900. Yeah, okay. So that means 900 squares, I presume.
Yeah, it was 900 square inch, and it was based. It was the LJ with before its AMA number. That was just, I guess that stood for large Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
large
then
Jim. Okay.
I know the flaps on that thing. You can look how long the flap is. That flap is at right next to the root of the fuselage. It's 4 inches long. I know that much.
Holy cow, that is huge. And look at the shape of the stab too. That's an unusual.
Yeah, the stab was, as you can tell how thick the stab is. My dad said that the thickness of that stab was like the thickness of a lot of the other planes' wings.
Yeah. That's incredible. I've never seen one like that.
And I guess it was a 2-to-1 throw ratio on elevator to flap. So you had 2 times the amount of elevator throw to is what you did on the flap. And then I think Jose Modesto on Stunthangar said that plane had like a 5-inch bell crank in it.
Wow. I'd have to put concrete shoes on to fly something like that.
And then
what was it flying for engines? Super Tiger's good.
Yeah, the Super Tiger 60.
Yeah. Good grief. What is that in front of it that was dwarfed?
That's a ringmaster.
Yeah, that's a ringmaster. So I mean, you can just imagine, that ringmaster, the whole length of that plane looks smaller than just the half of the wing of that sweeper.
Yeah, it sure does.
And yeah, when my dad saw that plane, he just fell in love with it, and he's like, "I got to build something like that." And I'll see if I can find the picture of my dad, one of my pictures of my dad's stiletto, real quick. You can kind of see the resemblance.
So your dad basically built to look like Les's design with the windy wing in it. It sounds.
Yeah, kind of. Yep.
Hey, Paul, if you talk to Wendy, tell him he's got to get back in and do some work on electric. I mean, that was one thing with Wendy. I mean, from the Super Tigers to pipe to 4-strokes, back to piped engines.
Yeah, I think he said he was going to leave the electric stuff up to Palco.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
All right, there's a picture from I want to say that was 1987.
Wow, look at those white uniforms.
Yeah, that's my dad holding the stiletto. My grandpa's on the right, and that's me in the little airplane shirt.
Oh, boy.
Where is that?
That's at the Offutt Air Force Base Air Show in 1987.
Oh, wow. That's 5 years after, or 4 years after I got out of the Air Force. I spent 2 years and 8 months in South Dakota.
Now, what is that we've got here?
That's my grandfather, and that was one of his mag jets. It was called a mag jet.
Wow.
I still have that plane. I don't hardly ever fly it, but I've got it at my parents' house hanging up, and that was one of my grandpa's planes.
Wow. Well, guys, I'm going to cut out. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. I'm glad you dropped in on us. And some nights we get livelier than others. Fridays are usually pretty hilarious. But, yeah, come on back anytime. And
right.
We'll see you later.
See you later, Paul.
Later.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to hit it too. I got to get up early, and I got to do a lot of packing tomorrow night. So we're leaving Wednesday after I get out of work. So I had to pack. So.
Okay, Steve. Well, yeah,
I'll try.
I'm working for.
Try to get on Friday night when we're there in Texas.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tell Samantha I'm rooting for her anyway.
All right. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get some help trimming this airplane, and she can fly the pattern with it. It just doesn't fly well, but I got that SV11 just about done. I cleared it tonight, the fuselage. That paper rolled. It looks like hell, but she flies it pretty good, so maybe she'll fly that one.
All right, great. Yeah,
all right.
Well, good luck with that.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
Have a good night, Steve.
Yeah, there's a little bit closer up of my dad's stiletto.
Yeah. Let's see. I loved that they used to wear those uniforms like that.
Yeah, all the white.
They kind of look like gas station attendants, but
yeah,
I guess that was the way I've seen Bob Hunt dressed like that, you know, and a lot of the others.
Then there was always Les with his shirt of stars. He looked pretty sharp. Those were sharp airplanes he made. Those were some good looking airplanes. That's something I had watched or went through off of Stunt News. Was I've gone through the whole series of the Stiletto Chronicles 3 or 4 times.
There's
interesting as all get out.
Ted Fancher and his all white get up back with his intimidation.
What's that plane called? The Intimidation?
Intimidation.
That always ended his airplane names with TION, I think, for a lot of them.
I think that if I remember right, the unique thing about this particular one was that if you look at the flaps, how they're swept, you know, kind of forward.
Yeah.
And I think all of his other planes, they were straight, but this one, I think they were swept forward, if I remember right, was the special thing about that one.
You have to build the lucky boxes into those.
I don't know about anybody else, but my favorite Werwage airplane is not the typical. My favorite is the 70s Juno. I love that airplane with the narrower chord and little higher aspect ratio, smaller wing than usual for him.
Oh, here is that Executioner.
Huh.
Pull that one up.
Well, that's different.
As far as I know, I think that's one of Wendy's planes too.
Yeah, look, you can see the windy influence. I'd never
It's got a kind of a cardinal-looking wing on it.
Yeah, and a rudder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it does too.
So yeah, maybe this is a precursor to the Cardinal or something.
Must be.
Looks like a pretty good-sized airplane.
Yeah, I've always liked that plane. I remember flipping through the photo albums, looking at these as a kid, and I always liked this one because I'm a Chevy guy, and those look like Chevy bow ties on there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I'm a Chevy guy from way back too. Not now for grocery getters, but for hot rides back in the 60s and 70s I was.
Yeah.
They've got an engine from an old drag car sitting in my little building at my house right now. So.
I don't know if you've seen them on Stunthangar, but here's the plaques I've made for our contest.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I like them.
It's the old time stunt, and it's George Lieb is our club member that passed away. And he made the Triumphant, which is an old time stunt plane, and that's the profile of the Triumphant.
Okay.
That's pretty good. So, that's similar to the trophies that we used to get at Huntersville.
And then here's a profile stunt. I'm sure you guys can tell what profile plane that is.
I believe that's Flight Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flight Street. Yeah.
Trying to do it so it's not like I can tell by the blinds and my face. It's kind of hiding it. But and then there's the
expert
Pampa.
That'd be a sweeper, not a sweeper, a stiletto.
That's a stiletto. Yeah. So. Yeah, I got those all done, and then our contest got rained out. So hopefully we still get to do it again here this Sunday.
And good luck with that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. Have you heard anything if Denver's going to be doing their contest again anytime soon? Yeah. I know you've gone once or twice.
They haven't done it the last 2 years. Ray Nice is the guy I know the best from Denver. He says he keeps trying to get them to do it again, but see, they lost their flying site. They were flying at Front Range Airport, and I guess that airport. What's that?
Front Range in Broomfield or Centennial?
I'm not sure. It was on the. It wasn't far from Denver International Airport.
Oh.
But it was a smaller airport, and they had it off on one side of it. It was kind of on, I think, the east side of the airport. There was just a big concrete pad out there, and I guess they'd been allowed to hold their contest there for several years. And then there's new management came in and said, "Well, you got to pay us $3,500 now to use that, that concrete pad or whatever." I mean, it was some astronomical dollar amount to use it for the weekend. And I guess the only other people that used that was those Trans Am racers that used or they do that SCCA.
Yeah, the SCC race.
Yeah, where they set up the cones in the parking lots and you race your cars through that on time trials. And those guys, those guys can afford to pay out that kind of money to go out and do that. But as far as doing a control line contest, there's no way. So,
and there's no maintenance to do after a control line contest. I mean, you take Trans Ams out there and start ripping around the corners, that
you tear the concrete and everything.
Problems to fix and that sort of thing. So
yeah. So, but yeah, no, they lost their site to do that, and now I don't know if they've got somewhere else that's even capable of doing it out there or not. But the past 2 years, ever since they've lost that site, they haven't done it. And I know Ray keeps trying to talk their club into doing it, but it gets shot down every year. That's why last 2 years I've gone to St. Louis, because I was starting to go out to Denver and flying out there, and then when they lost that, I've been going to St. Louis in place of it.
That's sad. What's that other club out of Arvada or whatever? They've got a field.
Arvado or something like that. I'm not too familiar with it, but I know that the two clubs kind of came together and always did it there at that front range. And I think that other one, I think it's more of a radio control field, and they just kind of put up with the control liners and let them fly down on one end, from what I've heard. I don't know if that's correct or not, but I think that's what I heard.
That's kind of what my field is. You know, we got to circle this just off the approach, off to the side of the approach at our field over at Gamma, and they're talking about putting another circle in on the other side.
But at least they're receptive to that. That's good.
Yeah, there also we have another field that we fly out of called CMJ. It's off of 341 in Roberta, Georgia, and it's got its own hobby shop. And
both of my local sites are primarily RC clubs too, but we always take turns and fly right off the end of the runway, and they don't seem to mind taking turns. They're sort of fascinated with the stuff that we do. So
yeah, we haven't had any problems, you know, and everything. The only snag we have at our field is on Sundays we can't fly anything gas whatsoever, you know, until about 12 noon because electric only, because we've been having some trouble with neighbors with noise.
Yeah, I remember going to the drag strip in one of the small towns in South Carolina, and they made us wait until 1 o'clock before we could crank up to test and tune and run time trials.
Yeah,
that's kind of late.
Yeah, I know, because I know they complained last time I went flying, and they complained about my flight streak. I got a Fox 36 on it. And you know how loud those things are.
Yeah, it makes a racket.
And they complained about it, and it was after 12, and they put a stink up, and I got kind of hammered at the meeting about it. But you know, I mean, that's the reason why we're talking about see if we can put a few circles in over the CMJ field. Now, if we have a few circles put in over the CMJ field, we can talk about having contests out there. Because it's got a whole lot more room. It's flat. Got an on-site hobby shop. He can about order anything you want. He does stock control on APC control and spec props. You know, if AI spec props. About get everything else if you need it. I figured it might be a good place. They're talking about putting about 3 circles in there.
Oh, well, that sounds like a great deal.
I think 2 of them might be paved and 1 will be just grass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still up in the air, but it's starting to lean towards that way now. So, you know, because we've been having a lot of activity at the circle. Haven't seen Bob
that works out.
But, huh?
Hopefully that works out.
Yeah, I hope so too, because there's more people involved. You know, and we still got a lot of people at the field that fly half A, and especially the cops. They always come running to me because, you know, especially we had a black weather the other day. Just like the other day, I was talking about where it punched the crown of the piston.
Yeah.
It suddenly lost compression and couldn't get it running and everything. And he come crying. He said, "I can't get this thing to run." And we tried everything. I popped it out, and there was a little teeny little pinhole in the top of the crown of the piston where the ball had punched the top. I just so happened to have a spare piston in my box, and it actually fit. It actually fit in the cylinder pretty good. I just stuck it in there for him. Reset the socket, and stuck it in there for him. In fact, it ran really good after that. So, but yeah, but we're trying to get a bunch of people started and all that. You know, I've been flying my PT-19 out there, and you know, and bringing back a lot of members. I actually got my Fly-M P40, you know, that Tester's Fly-M series, you know, little tiny little.
Yeah.
It's that little one that has a very short run time that you got to have someone start adjust it while you're at the handle, because as soon as you start, you got to let it go because it runs maybe a minute.
Is that one of the ones that one of our Cox Forum members reproduced in balsa?
I think so. It is because I mean they're beautifully scaled. You know, they're tiny and they haul butt. You know.
Yeah.
But what it is they run. Their running duration is so short. You might get 6 laps out of it if you can get it off the ground immediately. If it doesn't go rich. But you know, but it's the one with the pipe bomb engine in it. You know, so it's. But I flew it one time. I actually got it off the ground. Got it up for about 3 laps before it ran out of fuel. It was kind of hilarious.
That turns off way before the fun light goes out.
Oh yeah, the way you got to run those is there's 2 steps of running those. You start it up, run it, adjust it, let it run out of fuel, then fill it back up, start it.
Yeah.
And you got to be at the handle and the start up and immediately let it go.
Helps if you've got a pit guy that knows how to crank it.
Yeah, I know because I know I had a friend that I had Paul was out there and I had to instruct him how to start it. It did bite him one time, but that's part of having an 049. You know, the props are so tiny on those things; they don't have any flywheel effect.
Yeah,
you got to have a spring starter to get them going properly.
You know, another contest that might be on the chopping block is Fargo, North Dakota.
Okay.
Here again, they've got a flying site where they've been flying at probably the last, I think, 30 years at least or better. And it's in a park, you know, a city park. And now they've got a new management that's running the city parks. And basically, they're going to charge them now to use that park to do a contest, and I think their park is going to charge them like $1,600 for the weekend to put on their contest. So they're going to have to up their, you know, the entries, the monies to I think $50 or $60 just to enter the contest now.
That almost sounds like a pattern.
At Huntersville, we submit local area economic impact summaries to the Parks Commission and the municipality so that they can see just how much money that we're bringing into the hotels and restaurants and everything else in the area. And I think that's helped us, you know, with getting some things done like the circles. I don't know directly now, but that's, you know, just guessing at things like that, having our shed built at some time. And the biggest trouble is that the Parks Commission has employees that rotate in and out and in and out. So you're always got somebody new and unfamiliar if you're, you know, if you're not lucky. But
yeah,
economic impact is probably maybe a good idea for some of these sites that are on the borderline of getting run away.
Yeah, some of the local areas involved, like hotels, recommend them, you know, and get people in there. And once they see a positive, you know, some sort of a positive flow, they're more likely to listen. So.
I wish I could say, because I don't know, but exactly how much they estimated that our contests bring into Huntersville each October and May. And October, of course, is the big one. May's never as big as October is. Everybody's getting ready for both the Joe Nall and the Brodak in May. You know, it's just 6 weeks away, so not even that much, really.
Yeah. Hey, you remember this picture, Rusty?
I've got that on my desktop screensaver. It pops up once in a while. I've got the dark one. I made one of them really dark, but
yeah,
that's a cool picture of that plane just flying up through the rainbow. I love that.
Same arc as the rainbow too, if you look at it.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it was perfectly going right with the rainbow.
Yeah.
That day was once in a lifetime shot. When that rainbow formed, I'm like, man, I got to get my camera out quick.
Yeah, good catch. That was a great Kodak moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that Denver one went away, because when last time I had gotten reinterested in model airplanes was in the early mid-90s, and they were holding that contest in the Denver Coliseum parking lot.
Oh, it was a good turnout. The 2 years I went, it was a pretty good turnout.
Yeah.
And I'm actually very glad I went because I learned so much there. My planes that flew great here at 1,000 feet elevation didn't fly worth a crap up there. And so I went up there Saturday and Sunday for a 2-day event, and I thought I was going to fly Saturday and end up not having to fly anything until Sunday. And I'm actually kind of glad I did, because after they were done with the contest, I started doing my test flights. I go, oh, wow, I can't do shit here. And so I said, hey, is there any hobby shops in here? So they gave me a couple addresses, and I went in and I had to get different fuel with more nitro, different props with more pitch, because there's just no air up there.
And higher elevation.
Yeah, I had to change wingtip weight. I needed shorter lines, and
I'll bet one of those hobby shops was Thompson's.
I can't remember which one I went to, but it was a nice hobby shop. And but yeah, man, I was like swinging for the fences, making huge changes on my planes just to try to get them to get through the pattern up there. And
it's tough to make a bunch of different changes at the same time too.
Yeah, and so I learned a ton. And then when I came back home, my planes flew that much better. After and so I was so glad I went there. And then I went there again the next year, and that year I was a little more prepared for it and did a lot better. But it was a huge learning experience, and I was so glad I went and flew up there, because it made my planes that much better back home.
Yeah, that's good. So it worked out for you. It'd be nice if they could ever have them again, because that's relatively close for me.
So what parts of the setup did you keep the same after you got back home?
Well, I changed brands of props. Like forever, all we ever ran was Zinger props, and those Zinger props wasn't worth a damn at elevation. They were horrible. And so I got looking at everybody else's planes, and they were all running APC props. And so I went into the hobby shop. I bought 3 or 4 different APC props in the pitch ranges that I thought was going to work. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've been running APC props.
I like them.
Much more efficient.
There's a guy.
APCs are easy if you bust one. Somebody's got one, and they are always consistent coming out of the package. I like them. They're just so butt ugly. That's the only thing about them.
Yeah, well, and they're heavy.
They are.
But man, they sure pulled my plane better up there. And then, see, that's the other thing we noticed, like on my dad's stiletto, we've always ran a 14.6 Zinger on it for years. And then that prop that was on it that he tore up, it's just skipping off the ground there at Huntersville, was a prop that's probably been on that plane for the past 10 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
So when we grabbed another one out of the box, we just figured it was the same thing. But after we got home, we got looking at them, and the blade design is different. And it's a wider blade, and it's thicker at the base than what the old Zinger 14.6s were, and it's slowed his lap times down. And
I noticed that about the Zingers too. I had one that I really liked on one of my planes that I was flying at the contest last spring, and I broke it and couldn't find a substitute that was shaped the same. It was wider, and the newer ones have a more of a scimitar type look to it. And I tried one of them, and it just fell on its face.
They don't work. They're more for RC.
Yeah, so that's what we've found. All these new Zinger props, they just don't work like they used to. They've changed the shape of them just a little bit, and it just killed them. And so now my dad is running the same APC prop on his stiletto as I'm running on my Strega that I started running up in Denver.
Yeah.
And then my lines are actually about, I think, 2 feet shorter than what I used to run. And then I make different fuel for when I go up to Denver. I run like almost 15% nitro.
Yeah.
And I run 5% nitro here. And then the other thing, if I ever went again, I was going to take some different Venturis with me and try different Venturi sizes.
That'll help it too.
Yeah. So and then I had
I never go that deep into it much. If I got a Venturi that's running fairly happy, I usually just leave them alone. But yeah, if I had the patience, I'd start, trying swapping things out like that and see what it does.
Well, what I could tell is when I would take off, even with my Tiger 60 and my Strega, when my plane would take off, it would take an entire lap before it would finally get up to full power and full speed. I could just tell that entire lap, it was just constantly, slowly gaining more and more RPM.
Unloading. Yeah.
Where here at home, it jumps up off the ground and it's topped out.
Yeah, I hate that when they like to jump. But I'm finally, last season I really got a lot better at my takeoff, so I was happy about that because that had been one thing I'd had trouble with, and my landings have always been horrid, and I finally mastered that nemesis, I think. So I'm hoping the wing mounted gear on my Cardinal will be a nice plane to land, because I used to bounce my ARF Cardinal with those bent aluminum struts, and I think it was just a placement of them. I think farther back is a better idea.
Yeah, just make sure when you put that wing mounted gear on the blocks that you attach the gear in, to make sure they're well reinforced in there.
I need to make some part of it sacrificial so it doesn't.
Yeah, I know that, but but if you make it, if it's too weak, it'll rip out and it'll tear the heck out of the wing. So
yeah,
there's a compromise, You don't want it too weak, and you don't want it too strong. So.
Yeah, right. Oh, hey, Gerald, you're back. Hey, you hit us with a little change there. I appreciate that.
It's like my afternoon tea. So, don't mind.
The other thing I remember now that I've kept doing ever since Denver was taping my hinge lines.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never really been able to figure out how much difference that makes, but that's probably because of the level I'm flying at too.
You're right down on sea level, so you got nice thick air. But yeah, when I went to Denver, that was the other thing. It just maneuvers were so soft pulling out of the bottoms. I mean, you couldn't bang a hard corner to save your life, otherwise you were going to pancake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just for the time being, I took some Scotch tape and put on there, and just that made a big difference. So then when I got back home, I did, like, on my planes are monocoat, so it was easy. I just grabbed a piece of monocoat, ironed it on, and it was the same thing as tape.
Yeah.
And then that made a big difference here at home. Even you could just tell it on the very next flight. The plane just cut the corners better.
Yeah, I'm wondering if sealing my hinge lines, at least for where I fly, doesn't exacerbate my bumpy bottoms. I might fly smoother with a little mush built in instead of taping it up. I hadn't done enough experimenting with that to see but if I got a big gap, I'll always tape it up. But
yeah, they do make a difference. They do make a difference. I know this is not control line, but I did a overhaul, a Quicksilver, the 2S, which is kind of it's an ultralight with a two-place ultralight. It's a light sport anyway. I sealed the hinge lines on it because it was kind of sluggish on the aileron. I sealed the hinge lines on it, and everything made the aileron so much better. It wasn't funny. I mean, I didn't realize how much how much of an effect that stuff had until I did. So.
I think I'll do my P40 before I fly it again, and because it's monocoat wing, so that'd be easy enough to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a trip of monocoat on there in 10 minutes.
Right. Man, that's coming along pretty good, Frank. I got my picture locked on to you. It's just coming together.
Oh, yeah. It don't take long.
I'm just reinforcing all the glue joints.
Built right. Those things are tough as crap. You can about use the fuselage at a billy club.
I know.
Beat somebody to death with the fuselage. That's what I always said about Sterling kits. You could take a fuselage slab out of that box and whap somebody up the head with it.
They're all ply. They're all ply. The whole fuselage is nothing but ply. So they're tough. They're made to be tough. And
The You ever thought about building one with balsa wood?
Yeah.
Build a few
Rumor
studs.
has it that Sterling was next door to a life preserver factory where back in the days when they used balsa for flotation in the life preservers, the life preserver factory would throw away all the stuff that was too heavy, and Sterling would raid the dumpster and get their kit wood out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, that's probably where they got that 1 ton.
It's that
balsa.
hardest, heaviest damn blame wood.
I know, but speaking of the Sterling, I built remember a while back where I made that thread on the Cox Engine Forum about the Rainmaster that I built for my dad.
Yeah.
Got it finished and everything, and he unfortunately was unable to fly it because he had a stroke about a month after Christmas. Yeah, he wasn't able to fly it anymore. We still have it there, but that was an original Sterling kit with a 1 ton leading edge on it. But yeah, that was kind of sad.
Yeah.
Well, would it change? Did it improve at some point? Because I bought my Super Ringmaster that we were flying on the weekend, and I think I bought that kit new back in the early 80s, and the wood on that was concrete. It was so hard, but I only substituted some of the block.
Yeah, that's the way it's
possible to slot the flaps for hinges. It bent my tool up.
Yeah, the leading edge was so hard, I swear you can use it as a baseball bat. Either beat somebody.
If I remember right, Jetco kits used to be really heavy wood too.
I suppose some of the gallows were very heavy as well, but it was different type of wood for a different purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, the Gillows trainers were built to be brick bats that you could crash multiple times and not hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never built anything like that with all the sticks and tissue. That's one
fun.
I always like to do, but never have gotten around to it.
In fact, those Gillows kits, especially the newer ones that are laser cut,
yeah,
they're a great first kit to build. If you're building in scale and everything, because they'll teach you the basics, and they're great to instruct your kids on how to do it too, because they're just great trainers.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah, trainers from building all the way up to flying.
Yep.
I think it holds me or makes me hesitate about even starting a Gillows kit is how bad I know it would look when I got through with it.
You only know if you try it.
Yeah, I know.
I like stick and tissue plans.
Yeah, they're fun. I got a few kits. In fact, speaking of, I have B-25 Gillows kit, so U-control kit.
I think that SIG Cadet with clear monocoat covering on it, I think that's a really nice
Cadet, the one like Tim's got.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun kit.
I saw one that was green and white and silver one time, see-through covering, and man, that was a beautiful plane. I dreamed about building something like that for the longest time, and had no idea how big this thing really was, because in pictures you don't have any reference, and I'm thinking something about like this, and I realized, hell no, that son of a bitch is that,
Got a 72-inch wingspan, and it flies off of a 40. So.
At the Cadet or the Cadet Senior or Senior?
Cadet Senior. Cadet Senior.
Yeah.
It has
a pretty good trainer plane, isn't it?
It was my dad's sitting in my storage.
That's it's a nice flying airplane.
That Cadet's a pretty good trainer, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is. And it's one of the few that will thermal. If you get on a hot day, they got so much wing area, you can literally shut the engine down and it'll still be gaining altitude. But they will literally thermal. I used to have one years ago on a hot day. I almost lost it one time because we had strong thermal. It was going faster than the sailplane it was next to it. I was like, whoa, and I had to dive it to get it down.
Radio range.
Yeah.
I did that one time.
Yeah,
I had a big simplex. I had a big simplex. It was a 3-channel radio model, a huge wing on it, and I flew it, and the batteries went flat, and it flew off. And it turned up at an auction at about 100k south of us. Somebody had found it, and it ended up in this auction.
Oh no!
It wanted to go flying.
Did it have your name and number in it?
No, it got recovered by the police at the end of it. But it was a rather amusing incident. But I've had other ones where we've had flyaways like that with old time style. Like my brother was flying a powerhouse, a smaller version of a powerhouse, not the full big 84-inch one, and that thing flew off and it landed on the side of the motorway. But it had his address on it and details, and it got handed in to the police, and we got that one back quite easily.
So did you have to buy the other one back?
The other one, it was that they knew. When the auctioneers found out what had happened with this thing, that it had been basically picked up on the side of the road and somebody had tried auctioning it, they basically seized it and I got it back at the end of it. But it was just annoying. You'd sort of think with something like that somebody would be honest enough to hand it in to the police. But no, they took it down to an auction and tried to flick it on.
I wonder how much they were asking for it.
I don't know, but yeah, that's years ago now. But yeah, it's that whole thing. They when they want to fly, they'll fly away, and you can reduce the throttle right down to nothing, and if it's got a thermal, it'll just keep going. Yeah. And my receiver went flat, and I was enjoying myself till it went flat.
Yeah, that's actually happened to me one time, not with a cadet, but just because I had an old gentle lady glider, and I had a Black Widow power pod on it, and I was enjoying myself, so I just leaned back in the lawn chair and everything, and all of a sudden started moving my elevator. Something ain't working here. But here it is, just going in a lazy circle, flying further and further and further away. And I'm like, uh-oh, fly away, guys. And he said, where'd it go? And I said, we'll follow it. Well, we lost sight of it, but it ended up landing at Superside about 10 miles away. And we got it back, but, it just landed. There was an old lady that worked over Superside, it's a sod farm, and she was a big UFO buff, had all kinds of different colors on it. So she thought it was a flying saucer or something like that. Because it had that reflective monocoat on it, the chrome monocoat they used to have.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it probably spooked her out pretty good.
It spooked her out real good. It actually ended up in the paper.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
I still use that chrome monocoat.
I like that. Yeah, I think I need to get some of that. Maybe I'll make my Cardinal chrome.
Pretty heavy.
I want my Cardinal to look different from everybody else's Cardinal. So.
No, it'll look different. It'll bounce laser beams, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I've got. Are you guys familiar with what the Tower Hobbies Crazy Wing is at all?
The what?
The Tower Hobbies what?
It's called a Crazy Wing. It looks like an old school combat airplane for control line, but it's radio control.
No, I hadn't seen that.
I heard the name, but I haven't seen one before.
Well, when they come from the factory, they've got that red transparent kind of like monocoat on both sides. So the thing is kind of hard to keep orientated when you're flying it because it's the same color, both top and bottom, and it's just a flying wing. And so I've got one, and the top of it is the red transparent, and then the bottom I recovered into that chrome monocoat. And, I've done a couple of control line planes with that, and, it's not really that big of a deal because you've always got the profile of the fuselage that you're looking at. But on this flying wing, I did the bottom of it in that chrome, and when you're flying it radio control, man, that thing just disappears on you when you get the flat side of it, especially if it's like a cloudy day with it being chrome.
Yeah.
You're like, where'd I go? Where's it at?
Yeah, it just blends. It reflects everything around it and blends into the background like it's invisible.
Yeah, it's like chameleon paint, but
yeah.
But then on a sunny day, it's really cool. It's like a mirror up there flying around, and you're constantly, blinding everybody and everything.
You can roll it, and it's like a beacon,
Yeah, it's pretty neat on a blue sky sunny day, but on a cloudy day, man, the thing just disappears.
Can you see through the chrome monocoat, or is it opaque?
It's opaque.
No, the chrome, the one I have, it's like a solid chrome. So I mean, it's like a mirror looking into a mirror.
Yeah.
It's opaque. It's mirror shiny.
I'm going to use that on my Cardinal wing. Thank you, Jared. That's the best idea I've had yet.
Yeah, just when you go to apply it, watch the heat.
Yes.
If you get too much heat on it, it'll turn milky on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
This color.
I don't ever use a gun. I just use the iron. So
Then you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be all right, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, have y'all ever heard of a diamond dust?
Yes. Yes.
I have one of those.
The crazy wing is similar to that, but not quite as high speed. It's more aerobatic. But yeah, the diamond dust, that's a fast diamond flying wing too.
You ain't kidding. I got an OS Pylon 40 on it, and good God, that thing is so dang fast. It was rated at 210 miles per hour the last time I flew it.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine here at the RC club that has one, and that thing, it goes.
Yeah. It flies for exactly 3 minutes, and that's as long as you want to fly it because your fingers are shaking.
Yep.
Literally. And it would slow down and fly real slow if you had a throttle on it. Of course.
Yeah. It was just wide open the whole time. It actually has a Venturi on it, like a control line engine, but it's radio controlled.
That's what mine is, but mine's rear intake, and it's a pylon engine.
Right. Yeah.
And it's super spots. It's neon color with neon pink dots on the bottom of it, and it's baby blue on the top. Man, you got to, because it rolls so fast.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Dave. When you use a rear intake, do you need to build ductwork to route air to the Venturi? Because that seems like you'd be at a disadvantage pulling a vacuum.
You need to have it around in a box where you're not having a whole lot of turbulent air getting around to it. Because I mean, you could run ram air, but it really screws up your mixture. It's better to have it in a box, but not too close to the firewall and everything else, because it's
yeah.
And these high end race engines and all that, you have to literally always build a box around them, because they run best in still air with ventilation, so you won't have too many different pressure changes.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you'll never get the needle set. I mean, you get it in there and it'll be screaming on the ground. As soon as you let it go, it'll go rich or flame out, once it picks up speed.
Yeah. On my read speed profile for the Cox Engine Forum read speed contest, I had a rear intake engine like a Killer Bee on it, and I routed a ram air pipe around to the front to feed it.
Yeah,
and,
be careful about doing that with reed engines, though, because reed engines, if you ram it in through a reed engine,
it'll float the valve on it.
It'll float the reed off the seat.
Yeah.
Quick. Yeah. You can only do the ram air on rotor valve engines.
Yeah.
Now the Cox RR1, you can do that because it's got a rotor valve.
Yeah. I gave my RR1 to Ron Cribbs. I hated that I wasn't using it, and Mudhen out in California built that for me, and I played with it for a few years, flew it on the Little Satan, and then last time we had a tack race, Ron did the tack race, and I sent it to him and just told him he could play with it as long as he wanted. I've got his little TD010 over here, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that little RR1, I want one of those, because I mean that's a rare engine. They come. That's the only engine that's more than the 010 in the market.
Well, I'll tell Ron if he ever gets tired of playing with that one to give it to you. I'll pass it along. I don't think Mudhen would mind us keeping it in the family, so to speak. And now it does not have an RR1 crankcase on it. It's got a regular B crankcase.
Yeah, it don't matter. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the only difference in the RR1 is the tank.
It's powerful. It's almost as powerful as a TD.
Yes, it is. It's very powerful, and it's very unique. I'm really surprised they didn't make it longer than they did, because it was a good design.
It's a good engine. But my only problem is the same with all of those tanked engines, is they don't hold enough fuel. They run out before the fun light turns off.
And the RR1 ran shorter than that.
Yeah. 90 seconds is about all I got with my souped up Black Widows, and I think the RR1 was about the same.
Yeah. Yeah, because a Black Widow would run about 90 seconds, about 3 minutes.
That was a ported and polished Black Widow with the opened up Venturi too. So, it was more like a Venom in real life, I guess.
Yeah, Venom without the thin piston syndrome.
Right.
And that's what killed those. You had to be careful with the Venom because they made the piston too light. You know, they were trying to lighten it.
I did actually thin the piston on the Black Widow a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah, be careful because it'll collapse.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what happened when Cox was trying to make that Venom and all that to compete. They made the piston too thin, and if you didn't break it in properly, the thing would break.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why there wasn't so many of them. But I tell you, they're worth a small fortune if you find a real one that ain't a clone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awful hard to tell sometimes too.
Yep.
I don't remember all of the details like those guys that collect over there on Cox engines do. I mean, some of those guys know every little detail. I can't keep all of that in my head. And I guess if I cared, I would, but I'm not a collector. I mean, engine. I don't care how pretty and expensive it is. I'm going to run it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Killer Bee. You know, the easiest way to tell a real Killer Bee is to look at the cylinder. You know.
Yeah, it's got a bigger bottom port than top port, right?
Yeah, it's a dual slit cylinder, but the lower slit is much wider.
Yeah,
because
it's got the crankshaft is different from any other Cox engine too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a super crank. I call it a super crank in it. It's the tough crank.
It's not a diesel crank, is it?
It's not a diesel crank, but it can be used as a diesel crank.
I'll have to look at the couple 049 Killer Bees I have, but so there's different versions of them, is what you're saying?
Yeah, Cox built them, and then Estes bought everything and started just piecemealing shit out of their barrels of parts, and you can't trust anything that was built after 96.
Yeah, the Estes Killer Bee was just basically a baby bee. They just they called it a Killer Bee, but you know they took the Killer Bee crankcase and what they did is they bought out all Cox's stock.
Right.
No idea on how on how to build the engines. They just stuck them together and put them in a blister pack and sent them. And the Estes Killer Bee, or it always has a black back plate and a silver crankcase. Okay. And it's in the two cylinder slits. I mean, the cylinders are basically sure start cylinders is all they were. And they had two normal sized slits in it. Okay, the real Killer Bees have a gold crankcase, and the 051 has a red back plate, and if I'm not mistaken, 049 KB is a black.
I know
the cylinders, the exhaust slits are different sizes.
The lower exhaust slit is much brighter than the top. You can tell them apart very easily.
That's the biggest giveaway. You know you got a Killer Bee cylinder if it's got different sized slits on the exhaust.
There's so many clones of that Killer Bee out there. You got to really look and know what you're looking at to know if you got an authentic Killer Bee.
I know we bought 4 of them at one time, me and my dad, and 2 of them came with gold crankcases, and then the other 2 were silver. But I'll have to look at the slits on them. But they all came in individual Cox black and silver Killer Bee boxes.
Yeah. Do they have dates on the boxes?
I'll have to look at them. They're at my parents' house.
They should be around 1995, 1996.
I think 96 or prior is all Cox.
It's 96. It's at 95 and 96. They only made them for a year or 2. They didn't make them long.
Yeah.
And they also had the zero.
I got a feeling we bought these after that. I'll have to look. I can't remember.
Yeah.
They also have the zero drag drive plate for the prop. If you have one that's got a hex drive plate, you don't have a Killer Bee.
Say that again.
The drive plate. Most of the Cox engines back then, especially from '96 or later, not they'll have has a hex on it. For the snap start.
Okay.
you know, that little cam on them, so you can automatically engage the spring starter. The Killer Bees used a zero drag spring starter, so they had a little, you know, a real smooth, real thick drive plate.
It's a round drive plate without a head.
Okay.
You can tell they're very easy to tell.
I always took those spring starters off, but the whole reason we ended up buying those Killer Bee engine was, you remember the last half A Cox put out that was called, like, I think it was called the Hyper Viper.
I love that. Yeah.
The Hyper.
They sent that with that Sure Start engine.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that is the biggest pile of crap 049 engine I ever ran. You couldn't even get that plane to do a wing over. It was so underpowered with that motor. And so we got on Cox's site and ordered Killer Bee motors and pulled that Sure Start out of that Hyper Viper and put a Killer Bee in it, and then it flew pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I did with my PT-19. I put a Killer Bee in it, and it didn't even have to roll out to take off. It jumped straight off the ground with that.
I want to get a Killer Bee for my Chipmunk.
Yeah, I was kind of mad that
would be a great engine for that.
You know, I was kind of upset with Cox. I'm like, why would you have such a good little airplane that has so much potential, and then put such a pile of shit underpowered motor in it? I mean, it just.
Don't cut the Sure Start down too much. The Sure Start, you know, some of them are real tight because you know they were trying to mismatch. If they were fit well, they actually did pretty good. Because they actually had they had a single boost port along with the transfers.
Yeah, that new cylinder was actually a pretty high performance cylinder. It will outperform a TD cylinder, I believe.
The best way to do it, one of the reasons why that engine was a slug was because the snorkel on the back. The what was called a Sure Start, so you can put your finger over the snorkel and you can climb it. Yeah, the problem is that snorkel was too far exposed and airflow going up was over the top of it. And everyone knows if you take a straw and put water in it and you blow over the top, it'll suck
it out. Yeah.
What it does is it created a negative pressure in that snorkel and it just couldn't breathe.
Maybe if you bevel the front end of it, it would work better. But still,
if you took the snorkel off and just put the screws back in it, it ran different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe that was the problem then, because it just seemed like it had no power. But if it couldn't breathe at all, that was the deal. And I remember it has that little snorkel on it you're talking about. Yeah, we pulled that out and put that Killer Bee in there. It was a ton better. It was night and day.
The Hyper Viper is a great looking plane, though. I mean, it's just it looks like a pedigreed stunter.
It does.
It is, and with a good engine in it, it actually flew really well.
I've got 4 of them brand new in the box because we bought them right. I think when Cox was going under or going out of business or Estes was taking them over, we ordered 4 of those Hyper Vipers and 4 Killer Bees.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking about doing is taking the Hyper Viper wing and then just taking a piece of balsa, make a profile fuselage, and do an electric half-A setup with that wing.
I've drawn out plans for a Hyper Viper profile. It's based on the flight streak moments, but it looks Hyper Viper. So one of these days, I don't know what size, if I'll build it for 049 or a 09. I think I got a TD09, so I'll build it for that size. I've been talking about it for about 4 or 5 years now, so maybe it'll get done one day.
Right. 9 turns, man. It's got a bunch of power, just not over profit. No, but it's.
I got a Hyper Viper, and I pulled the original motor because it was too tight, and I just didn't have the patience to run it in. But I used a plastic snorkel backplate on a good cylinder piston crankcase, and it worked a lot better. But if you, like you say, with the a scoop on the back of it, or just an angled intake, it probably would make a difference. You probably use a lot less fuel if it's sucking the fuel out too.
Yeah.
But the standard motor that it came with was just so tight, I just couldn't be bothered trying to persist with it. But the model flew well. It flew, but it's still quite a small wing, I suppose, for the potential of a really good motor like a Killer Bee. I'm sure you could fly a bigger wing than the Hyper Viper's wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the Hyper Viper was one of Cox's best flying airplanes. And that was their last airplane. Happened to be their best flying airplane.
Yeah.
Outside the PT-19, and it was a shame because if I mean that plane had the potential to save cops. You know, because they actually, if they would have paid more attention, you know, to the, how they powered it.
Right. Well, that's what I thought. You know, I couldn't get over they put that motor in that plane. I'm like, man, you guys had a home run here, and you just
shot yourself in the
they
foot.
needed to do was pay
foul, you know.
The thing they needed to do, really, you know, and I've said this a few times, you know, they should have kind of brought the Killer Bee out or a variant of the Killer Bee out to put it in the Hyper Viper.
Yeah.
And,
well, like I said, that's what we did with ours, and it made it night and day. You could actually, you know, on a calm day, you can damn near do the pattern with it with a Killer Bee.
Yeah, because they did something similar. You know, the old Cox P40 from the 60s. You know,
I had one, yeah, with Super
Bee in it because it was heavy. You know, they actually engined it properly. You know, now that they just stopped doing that stuff later on. So
I still got that old Super Bee from my P40 back in the day.
Yeah, that Super Bee is pretty strong. That Super Bee is it's about as powerful as a Black Widow.
Yeah, but it just had a 5cc tank on it.
It didn't run long. Yeah, by the way, the P40s, does anyone happen to know where I can get my hands on a firewall for one of those?
No, I'd have to make one out of plywood or something.
Got to search eBay. Sometimes things come up.
It came apart. I was trying to clean it. It's broke.
What'd you break?
I got a P40, and it was just it was in good shape, but it was kind of messy. And when I was taking the engine off, I guess the plastic was so brittle, it just disintegrated.
Yeah.
And I lost the firewall, and I need to see if I can find a firewall for it.
That's the thing about those encased engines like that. The exhaust and everything just builds up in there, and you can't clean it out, and it just soaks in and eventually rots the plastic.
Yeah, because the nitro and actually gets to it, makes it brittle, and and it just takes care of it. It does it in.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've had that with other plastic ones of mine where the plastics just got brittle. I had a nice PT-19 and we never got it off the ground. It was one that had never flown before, but the plastic had gone brittle. So I was hoping to give the two boys a go with it as the first chance to use a PT-19, but no, it was never to be. It was just too brittle. You'd have to build a bolster replica of a PT-19 like Black Hawk models it sells, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, just time, I suppose.
Yep. The thing to do is if you want a PT-19, look for the latest one. There's still a lot of them out there. It's one with a long box. It's something like that's the latest variant of the PT-19, and they tend to be pretty good. They had the Sure Star engine in them, but they're pretty flexible. So you can still get them flexible.
Yeah, this was an early one with the painted pilots. They looked really neat when they had all the little painted details on those early ones. The later ones were more simplified.
Little clear plates in the windows and everything too.
Yeah, they look quite neat.
It's an early '80s variant.
I like the Canadian variant of the PT-19. The color scheme on it. Do y'all know what it looks like?
Oh, the green one, the green and yellow.
It's got a
green fuselage.
I was thinking it was a cream-colored fuselage with red maple leaves on it. I'm not sure now.
Yeah, I think I had one also. I don't know if you've seen I think they made it like for only a year, maybe 2 years, but they had a PT-19 that was white and it looked like a Reno racer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was solid white, and it had neat decals on the wing and everything. It was really nice. It was solid white.
Forget what those around here.
Forget what it was called. I had one of those once upon a time, but I managed to destroy it when I was a kid. So.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to most of mine too. The one I've got now has got a balsa nose on it on one side, and I've got make a new hinge for the elevator in the back. broke out of the top half of the hinge is built into the vertical stab, and that part broke out. So I just need to shape a balsa block and fit it into that slot, harden it, and it should be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't fly it on PT-19 day either, so I had planned to, but you know, I just never.
I want to do that next time it happens. You know, because I wish I would have seen that earlier. Not, you know, I could have gotten a couple of flights in. So, it flies pretty good. It's, you know, it's not really that beat up. It looks it's been through hell, but you know, but it's still in one piece.
I got a TD with the built-on tank, and I'm refitting my PT-19 to take that. We'll see how it flies. That made my skin crawl.
Oh yeah, that eaglet's looking nice now.
Yeah, hang on, let me
I just got
click so all the people can see it. Yeah.
As it sits, it weighs 1 pound 1 ounce.
Yeah, they're very light.
Nice. Wow, man, that thing really evolved over the course of the show tonight.
I know, it's really quick build.
Yeah, there's nothing to them. They're actually really easy. I mean, the wing's simple, the tail's simple. In fact, I think the hardest part of the whole airplane, I think, is the tail.
Yeah, I know, and I hate building tails too. I had to make the elevator for it because the one that came in the kit was all bashed up looking.
Yeah, did you put the triangle stop behind the firewall?
No.
Do that because the ones I've had them come loose unless you really glue them. But I put the triangle stop behind the firewall that helps strengthen them up, especially when you're putting a hot 30 on it.
Looks like it might be too late.
Nah, it's not. It's got the hatch on it. It's got a hatch on it.
Oh, it's not glued down yet. I see.
Yeah.
Just put some light triangle stop behind it to help reinforce it a little bit.
Yeah, I have some. Yeah, I think I'm done for tonight, though.
Yeah, I'm about to call it. Mondays I usually shut down between 12 and 12:30, so I get a little chance to chill out after the show. But yeah, we got in the groove all right tonight, and so I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right, Jared, thanks for dropping in on us. Hadn't seen you in a while. I'm glad you came in to visit.
Yeah, it was nice.
And, okay, folks.
I'll see you guys.
Well, all of you people on the YouTube side, thanks for hanging out with us. We didn't get a lot over there. Jim Ballard's looks like he just checked out a few minutes ago, or right now anyway. And so, okay, you guys, we'll see you on Friday. And thanks for all your contributions, both with information and by clicking on the YouTube dollar thing. That's always appreciated. And until we see you next time, tight lines, fair winds, and we will see you later.
All right, I'll try to be Friday. I go back home then. So.
Oh, good luck. I hope you're feeling a lot better. I didn't even ask you about it tonight. So.
Yeah, I am. I might be going home Thursday. I might be able to come up on Friday, but it depends on how my internet is. You know.
All right. We'll see you later. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Night all.
Night.